those of you checking in with us from our YouTube channel, there is a slight delay between when I speak and when it shows up in your chat. To quote KJ Brocky, yes, we will be starting in about 13 minutes or so. And by all means, spread the word. Going to have some fun tonight. This will be another, as is our tradition, this one will be another long one. So by all means, make sure you have lots of caffeinated beverages, oxytocin-laden substances, things to write with, and a sincere desire to do the drills and get the skills. We'll be starting shortly. Hey, I see about 32 people in the Zoom room. Welcome. We'll be starting in about 11 minutes, give or take. If this is your first time with us, this is not going to be a traditional webinar like many of you are used to. I'll be talking about that very, very shortly. Today's course is all about taking things you can learn things and take them right out into the real world and really make things happen. So like I said, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes now. It's 3:50 p.m. my time, Pacific. So we'll be starting in about 10 minutes. And expect this one to go a little bit on the long side. We're going to be giving you a lot of actionable content, a lot of things you can start taking out into the field right away. And I'll explain all that when we log on at 4 p.m. In the meantime, feel free to discuss things amongst yourself, ask questions between each other, and we'll get started shortly. Take care. Okay, folks, you got about 4 minutes and counting. This is Dr. David speaking at you. We're going to be jumping in, going to try and get on right at 4 o'clock. We have a lot to cover in a short while. Technically, I have as much time as I want, but I know your time is valuable, so I want to make sure each and everybody comes out of here with enough actionable content, things they can actually put into practice right away. This will be an experiential workshop, so I need you to come in with a sincere desire to roll up your sleeves, do the drills, and get the skills. If you follow my instructions and you do what I say, you'll pretty much discover some of the most powerful ways for influencing human beings ever, and you can use them anytime, anywhere, pretty much for anything. And that's where we'll start, and then we'll just keep showing you where to go. So that being said, if you hear some noise in the background as I'm speaking, it's because my beautiful little children just got home from school, and they're going to be running around up and down doing their Zoom lessons and stuff like that. So just bear with us as the inevitable child-induced chaos begins, and we'll begin shortly. Hello, everyone. My name is, hold on a second, let me turn my thing on. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. David Snyder, and welcome to Secrets of Human Influence, Skills of Social Seduction. Today's course is all about influencing human beings so that you can never lose an argument, never fail a job interview, and never miss a sale ever again. We're going to teach you some of the most powerful, most proven, most effective ways to get people to like, love, and trust you, how to change beliefs, how to incorporate belief and people's belief systems and bond them to what you want them to do. It's a very powerful, very ethical and honest system. You're going to be able to do all of this without lying, cheating, stealing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Misrepresenting yourself in any way, I guess is a good way to say it. Extorting them. And so that's what this is about. So before we begin, we have some administrative stuff I need to get out of the way. First and foremost, if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best choice of your time for the next 2 or 3 or 4 hours. Now, notice I said 2 or 3 or 4 hours. Why did I say that? It's because our webinars are not like typical webinars. Our webinars are very, very actionable, content-oriented delivery mechanisms. What I mean by that is our intention for you tonight is for you to come away from this training with some solid, powerful, user-friendly things that you can put into practice right away to start moving your life forward and moving your life in the direction you want it to go. If you're anything like me, you don't have time for in your life for low percentage technique. You don't have time for BS or things that take years and years of study to master. Now, there are things that are very powerful that do take a little bit more study, but beautifully and wonderfully, the things you're going to learn tonight don't take a lot of time. You just got to know enough to do them and have the presence of mind and somebody to guide you through the steps to do it. Now, if this is your first time joining us in Planet David, as I like to call it, I'd like you to do some things for me. First of all, this is a very interactive webinar. So if you were coming in planning on just kind of sitting, vegging out, taking a few notes, maybe doing some multitasking while I'm talking and teaching, probably not going to be the best use of your time on tonight's webinar. Tonight is about putting skills inside your head so that you can take them out into the world and get the things you want in life. That being said, I need you to be focused. I need you to follow all of my instructions, obey all the commands I give you so that you can have the experience. Because if you have the experience, you'll retain the information. And when you retain the information, you are more likely to use the information, and then it'll pay the dividends that you came for. If you came here looking for a 90-minute webinar where they tease, talk about other people's successes, tease some more, and then hit you at the last hour with buy my stuff, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. This webinar is what we call a free form webinar, which means there's no set time limit to it. So if you're coming in thinking this was going to be like a 90-minute class and you're off to the next thing, you're probably going to be a little bit frustrated, not because of the content, but because when the other things you had planned start to kind of impinge on your free time, we're going to still be going. So let me explain to you a little bit about how things work. Tonight, if this is the scope of everything that there is to cover in the realm of persuasion that is actionable and you could do right away, we have time for this much, even with a 2 or 3 or 4 hour webinar. So my commitment to you is I will take you as far into this material as I can in the time that we have. I will show you how to do this. I will guide you through the steps to do this. And I will point you in the direction of where to go to take your skills to the next level, if that's what you want to do. Would that be a fair trade? If you believe that's a fair trade, if you feel that's a fair investment of your time and energy, please go ahead and type in the chat room. That's fair. I agree. And again, I am a teacher who thrives on feedback. The more feedback we get, the more interactive we get, the more deeply this learning will go into you. Okay. So that being said, somewhat great vest, be aware of yourself. Giselle says, thanks for sharing without all the BS first. Yeah, in a moment, we're going to start what I lovingly call the Dr. David Dog and Pony Show. And so let me explain a little bit about the format of our webinar. This webinar is what I call a free form webinar. And so what that means is I'm going to go through a set presentation, then I'm going to customize the presentation to your needs, your desires, the things you want most from this webinar. And there's actually some drills that we're going to do that will teach you what this process actually feels like when you deliver it to other people. If I were teaching you the mental training secrets class that I teach, you would be learning about the emotional motivation checklist. Tonight, you're going to learn about the emotional bonding checklist, which is one of the most powerful ways to get people to want to do what you want them to do for their own selfish reasons. Now, when I say selfish, I don't mean that in a bad way, because you see, everybody moving through the world has an emotional need that they want fulfilled and a way that they recognize that those needs are being met. And when you understand exactly what those things are, and you can talk about your product and your service, or yourself for that matter, in a way that links those two together so that they can't be taken apart, people will simply do what you want, mostly out of their own selfish reasons for doing it, and they'll feel more connected, trusting, and loyal to you than you can possibly imagine. Would that be a good way to start? Learning how to get people to like, love, and trust you, to just want to do what you want them to do and feel really good about it, all 100% ethically. Would that be a good way to start tonight's seminar? Type in the chat if you think that's true, if that's a good way to start, because that's where that's one of the very first things we'll be doing. So let me explain to you how the rest of the webinar is going to go. In a moment, I'm going to start my formal presentation. I'm going to tell you about my bio, where I come from, what my background is. And at some point, I'm going to give you as much content as humanly possible for about the first 60 to 75 minutes. Of course, just like any webinar, we do have a package we've put together for you, a training package that will take your skills into orbit compared to where most people are now. And I'm going to explain that to you at about the 60 to 75 minute mark in the seminar. It's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast I move through that. Once that is done, I'm going to come back to the main webinar, and I'm going to continue to teach for the next 30, 40, 50, another 90 minutes. I've been online as long as 6 hours with people. Now, we're probably not going to go that long. We usually top it out at about 4 hours total. But I just want you to understand that the moment we hit that offer part, where we start talking about the package we put together for you, you want to stay on till the end of the webinar, because as soon as that's done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to pick up where we left off. I'm going to build on the foundations that we laid out during the first segment of the webinar, and I'm going to continue to teach, and you're going to continue to get some really powerful skills that you can take out into the world. So if that's a fair trade, if you're willing to do that and stay on through the entire webinar and do everything I've asked you to do, type that in the chat. Go ahead and do that. Cool. There's Hal. Welcome, Hal. I remember you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Cool. Stay and learn. Right on. Okay, cool. Now, if you're brand new to Planet David, right, I want you to type your name, where you're checking in from. What's your biggest question about influencing human beings to do what you want them to do? Type that in the chat. Type what your name, where you're checking in from, and what's your first time, and what your biggest question is, because we're going to circle back to those. Okay. And then what I want you to do, for those of you who've been bebopping around Planet David for a while, those of you who have been to some of our seminars, who are regulars on our, Kim King's calling in from Northern California. Welcome, Kim, or Kimmer, as we like to call her, right? Okay. If you've been around Planet David for a while, if you're a veteran, type in veteran and how long you've been doing our content and using our materials. Okay. And there's a very specific reason, by the way, for you new people. There's a very specific reason why I ask all of my veterans to identify themselves. It's because when you log on to a webinar, especially with somebody you don't know, like me, okay, and they're going to tell you about all these really cool things and all these systems and all these packages and offers that they've got, you expect me to tell you my stuff's the best on the planet. You expect me to pitch my stuff and say, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, right? But I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe anything I tell you. Best part about the technologies you're going to learn tonight is you don't even have to believe they'll work. You just got to do them, because it's based on mechanics and how the neurology of the human being actually works. So if you actually just go and do the skill sets, you'll be amazed at the response that you get. But don't take my word for it. Take the material, learn it, go out and play with human beings in their natural habitat, and notice the responses that you get. If you have a question, now there's a lot of people on tonight's webinar, and a lot of times the questions fly by faster than I can see them or even answer them. That's why I'm asking all the veterans of Planet David, if you see a question in the chats that I don't see, or I can't get to, or I can't answer, or I don't answer in the webinar, and you have real world experience that speaks and answers that question, I'm asking all of my veterans to answer that question for the person asking in the chat. Okay. Now I have some amazing people in the back behind the scenes tonight. We have the amazing administrative goddess Stephanie Skiba, who handles all of our customer service. We have our premier online mentor Holly Bigelow, working in the YouTube and chats and chats like that. I think Brandon Burr is hiding around back there. He's the owner of Jet Webinar, a guy who's responsible for actually bringing us back to life on the internet. So I want to shout out to all those guys. And so for those of you who are, and by the way, we have people on what I call whack-a-troll duty. Every now and then when you have a public webinar like this, there's people who just want to get all kinds of attention in a less than positive way. We have a no tolerance policy. We have a 0 strike rule. So if you start misbehaving, Holly and Stephanie and Brandon have standing orders to just play whack-a-troll and boom, bounce you right out of the group. Right. So if we have if we have even the slightest hint that people are going to try and distract you from getting the information you came for, we're going to bounce you. Okay. There's lots of people who actually want to learn this, and I'm committed to helping you be the best influencer you can be in the shortest amount of time possible. So once again, that being said, if this is the full scope of everything there is to learn today, we've got time for this. So without further ado, I'm going to take you as far as I can in the time that we have, and I will point you in the direction of where to go for more. One last thing before we start. I have lots of people in the chat who are willing to answer questions. If you're not satisfied with that answer, or you want an answer directly from me, here's all you need to do. As soon as we're done with this webinar, and you're going to want to stay till the end because there's some amazing stuff that comes at the end of the webinar, okay? If you want your question answered personally by me, as soon as we log off this webinar, YouTube is going to process this, and this webinar is the replay is going to go live. If you go into the comments section below this webinar video and type in your question, I always go back to the comments after the webinar. I read each and every one of them personally, and I answer them. So if I have an answer for you, I'll give it to you. If I don't have an answer, I'll point you in the direction of where to go to get that information. Is that fair enough? Is that me going the extra mile to make sure that you get what you came for? Type yes if you think that's fair and a good thing. Okay, cool, excellent. So like I said, we're going to start with a formal presentation. At some point, I'm going to ask you what it is you want to learn most about. We're going to do some drills, and we're going to tailor the content of tonight's webinar to the reasons you came. And we'll do our offer. We'll come back. We'll continue to teach, and then we'll send you off into the world to get cool stuff. You guys ready to play? Type in the chat if you're ready to play. We have one of the leading psychologists in behavioral psychology. B.F. Skinner is with us today. Excellent. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start. Dun, 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 dun. The Dr. David Dog and Pony Show. Welcome to Weapons of Social Seduction, discovering the psychological master keys to have people hanging on your every word, and how to never lose an argument, fail a job interview, or miss a sale ever again, all without lying, cheating, or stealing. I'm your host and mentor for tonight, Dr. David Snyder. And if you're brand new to to Planet David, as I like to call it, you may be asking, who the heck is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? Well, I'm glad you asked. First and foremost, I am an actual doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. This is a copy of my diploma from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I've been a practicing acupuncturist and neurolinguistic programmer and hypnotherapist in Solana Beach, California for the last 15 years, where I've specialized in treating physiological illness that has as its roots repressed emotion. So while a lot of people in the hypnosis world, in the NLP world, deal with a lot of phobias and confidence issues and some trauma work, there's quite a few people out there doing trauma work. I spend a lot of time unpacking terminal cancer, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, lupus, pretty much a lot of autoimmune, a lot of chronic disorders, a lot of terminal cancers, things of that nature. And so we've gone a real deep dive clinically into what is the emotional pathogenesis of how we manifest chronic illness. And about 9 out of 10 people that come into a doctor's office are manifesting an illness based somewhere in a negative repressed emotion. And so if we just learn how to unpack and attack those negative emotions that are locked in the body, it doesn't take long for a lot of the symptoms and severities of the illnesses that our patients are experiencing to resolve. But that's not all there is to Planet David. You see, in 2020, I was named the #1 NLP trainer of the year by globalgurus.org. In the last 5 years, I've been named among the top 2 and top 3 NLP trainers of the year by Global Gurus. I've authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence, everything from dating and attraction to sensuality and relationship maintenance, all the way up to advanced sales and marketing techniques, therapeutics, energetic influence, remote influence, and all points in between. I've created a system called CPI, which stands for Conversational Persuasion and Influence, and Killer Influence, Secrets of Covert Hypnosis. And the reason I mentioned Secrets of Covert Hypnosis is because this is a copy of a letter from globalgurus.org, and I'll read it to you real quick. It says, "Dear David, it is with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP. NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And if you click that little blue button there, it takes you to this page. And as you can see, my program, Killer Influence, was named #1 amongst all these competitors. Now, what's interesting, a little fun factoid about Killer Influence is that I never created Killer Influence to be an NLP program. It was just something that got, because it was such a powerful program to influence human beings, that people assumed it was all NLP. It's actually much more than just NLP. It's an integrative system. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And what it is, Rebecca, is it's the study of how people create their thoughts and how language interacts with how people think to form their belief systems, their traumas, their skills, their abilities, their talents. And once you understand how to use your language to impact how people think, you can use it to pretty much get people to do what you want to do anytime you want. You can use it to remove limiting beliefs, remove blocks to success, to write very powerful and persuasive copy. It's easily one of the most powerful skill sets that we've discovered, short of maybe the wheel or fire. But unfortunately, with classical NLP, a lot of times it's very hard for people to explain what it is without causing confusion. So at the end of the day, Killer Influence is about understanding how people think and speak, and how to use how people think and speak to get the things you want, to remove blocks to your success and become the best version of yourself. That in a nutshell is why you're here. Nobody on this call, on this webinar, is here to make their life more random. You're here to take the randomness out of your life, to get more influence and control over certain areas of your life where you'd like to have more skills and abilities and influence. Would that be true? Is that true that you at least have at least one area of your life, this goes to all of you, that you'd like to have more influence in? Type yes if that's true for you in the chat, and what that area might be. Cool. Okay. Don't be bashful. All right. So let me go ahead and erase this and go on with the bio side of things. For those of you who are wondering, okay, well, what else you got, David? Hold on a second. For some reason, there we go. Okay. I'm also a career martial artist. And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of the things I learned in my martial arts translated directly into the persuasion and influence skills that I teach, and vice versa. There are certain key principles that are built in from the biomechanical all the way up to the psycho-emotional level that the martial arts allowed me to unpack and simplify and deconstruct for people that they can take it out into the world and use it. So real quick, I have a 10th degree black belt in Ryukyu Kempo Karate. I have a 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kung Tao, 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu, 4th degree black belt, first degree black belt in Fankuru Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a certified instructor in Combat Sistema, Cinco Mano Eskrima, and Modern Arnis. I also have a plethora of energy healing credentials, including Reiki, advanced pranic healing and pranic psychotherapy, advanced DNA theta healing, Bengston, and Qigong. I like to tell people I have more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. But so when you look at all these things, from the acupuncture to the martial arts, to the energetics, to and everything in between, what do all these things really have in common? And that commonality is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition means the same sequences appear at every level of human interaction, from the biomechanical to the physiological, to the biological, to the cognitive, to the emotional, to the linguistic. The same patterns keep showing up. And when you understand that people have patterns of thought, patterns of speech, patterns of movement, and you can learn how those patterns operate, you can start to not only predict what a person is going to do or how they're going to do it. You actually know when is the best time to inject change into that pattern to get a predictable result. And that's what this class is about. So what does pattern recognition have to do with human influence? Pretty much everything, okay? So is this class for you? If you can answer yes, to any of the things I'm about to read off to you or I'll share with you, you're in the right place. This class is for you if you would like to become super attractive to the opposite sex and maybe even make them find you more charming, fascinating, and irresistible. If that's something you'd like to learn how to do, even if you don't do it all the time, type yes in the chat. If you'd like to learn how to banish fear and insecurity from your life and radiate confidence, assertiveness, and power, maybe even be considered truly alpha amongst your peers, this is probably a good place for you to be. If you'd like to make more money from your job, book more clients for your business, get that raise or promotion you know you deserve, maybe even protect yourself in certain situations from being manipulated or to handle difficult people more easily, this is absolutely one of the best places for you to be tonight for the next 2 or 3 hours, okay? If you'd like to have people thinking, feeling, and acting the way you want them to so that they naturally want to follow your lead, you're in a really good place right now. If you'd like to program yourself to create massive financial abundance with more than enough money to buy the things you want and then some, welcome to your new home. This is going to be amazing for you if, big if here, guys and gals, if you actually do the things I'm teaching you to do. I'm really good at teaching this stuff. I really am. But I'll tell you one thing, I can't multiply zeros. If you don't follow, you won't have the experiences. And if you don't have the experience, you won't be excited about moving out into the world and actually putting this stuff to work for you. The stuff I'm going to teach you is powerful, but it's simple and it's actually easy to do if you just do it. You don't got to believe it. You just got to do it. Okay. So if you'd like to cause anyone you meet to like and admire and trust you and maybe even love with you in as little as 20 minutes, you're going to find some powerful master keys for helping you do that today. If you're a team leader, CEO or manager of a team, middle manager, and you'd like to learn how to inspire your employees, your children, maybe even your spouse to do what you want them to do and have them want to do it for you, this is a good place for you to be right now. If you'd like to surround yourself with lots of new and trustworthy and loyal friends and attract more of those kinds of people into your life and know that they're the kind of people you want, this is a great place for you to be. If you've ever fantasized about having Jedi-like powers and having the ability to, these are not the droids you're looking for, put people under your hypnotic spell, probably not the best webinar for you, but it comes close, right? We do have force-like powers, but they're more in the state control realm, not in the, these are not the droids you're looking for kind of category. But you will understand how people go into trance, what puts people in trance, how those trances are managed. And you'll begin to get the foundations for how to link people's emotions to what you want them to do. And when people's emotions are linked to what you want them to do, their imaginations are linked to what you want them to do, and then everything else gets linked from there. Does that make sense? I gave you a very powerful principle just then. Do you understand it? If you understand what I just said, type it in the chat, I understand. Cool. All right. Back to the presentation. So first and foremost, this is my personal promise to you, okay? If you stay until the end of the webinar tonight, I will teach you the fastest, most powerful and direct way to make people like, love, and trust you. It's almost neurologically impossible for this to not work, almost. I'll teach you how to have people hanging on your every word. In fact, they can't resist this one, even when they know it's happening. And how to emotionally bond another human being to you, your product or your service, and make them actually want to do what you want them to do. And then finally, when we're all done with that, I'm going to show you how to go from just interesting information to becoming a master of unstoppable persuasion. If that sounds like a good plan for tonight, type in the chat, that sounds like a good plan. And yes, if you're wondering why I keep asking you to do things, it's because I need to know you're with me. I need to know you're paying attention and doing what needs to be done. Because if you follow the instructions, you'll get the results. It's really that simple. Follow the instructions, get the results. You don't got to believe it. Heck, you don't even have to like it, although it helps, right? You're going to get these things, okay? I will stay on as long as I need to put these skills into you and show you how to take it to the next level. All right, so let's go on to the next piece of tonight's presentation. Here's what I want you to do now. I asked you earlier, what brought you out? What do you want to learn about today? What's the biggest, most important question you have about how to influence other people and in the context you want to influence them that you would like the answer to? Take a moment for me, because this answer that you type in the chat is going to be used in the very first drill that we're going to play with, okay? So it's important that you have that very clear in mind. In fact, if you have something to write on, not only do I want you to write it in the chat or type it in the chat, I want you to write it on a separate piece of paper so that we can go back and begin the exercise with as little downtime as possible, because I have a lot I want to teach, but everything is foundational. It builds on the next thing. So we got to get these foundations first. Study patterns, okay. Influence my ex, okay. I want to learn about new language patterns like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's really not new, but we can teach about that. Adverb, adjective, presupposition, okay. Make them draw to my online media without having to search for them, okay. How to influence someone and turn it around when they're testing or challenging you, undermining you, okay. Pattern recognition, okay. I keep telling you about, but I keep getting. Okay, I don't know. I don't understand that question, but all right. So good. We're getting a lot of good messages. In fact, my little red prompt that says we got too many messages. You're gonna have to click to go to the bottom. All right. So here's where we're going next. The things I'm going to be teaching you tonight are excerpts from a system I created many, many years ago for me. One of the things that people are often shocked to hear me admit to is that the vast majority of the you tonight, I did not create for you. I created them for me because growing up, I had the social skills of a rock. I was bigger around than I was tall. I was habitually lied to, manipulated, and picked on by practically everyone I met for the first 10 to 11, 12 years of my life. Okay. It was one of the most difficult times for me. My teens weren't much better, but I did start realizing and start actively going about trying to learn how to fix these things. And so it began a lifelong study, a lifelong passion for me of how to become, for lack of a better word, how to become irresistible. And here's what I mean when I say irresistible. After watching yet another relative pass away with me, being a kid, I have nothing I can do, getting turned down and rejected yet again, I remember sitting in my bedroom and praying to God to teach me how to be irresistible, how to never be powerless again. I made a commitment to myself at that moment that I was never going to find myself in a situation where there wasn't something I could do. I was never going to be powerless again. I don't know if you ever had those moments where you're just getting attacked or manipulated and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you find out later on there were all these different things you could have done had you known that would have made the difference, right? That was my life. And I made a decision, and it's still driving me today to become a master of these skill sets. All right. And I went through training after training, book after book, thousands of hours of trial and error to figure out those little gold radioactive nuggets. But I'm going to be right up front. I'm going to tell you right up front, I didn't do this for you. I did this for me because I had problems I needed to overcome and solve. And as I found those solutions, I put them in my little pack, like little gold nuggets, right? And then one day I opened up my sack and I found out that these radioactive gold nuggets I had weren't just little nuggets. They were more like Legos. And they were Legos that you know how Legos work. You can put them together in any way you want to create whatever you want, right? That's how Legos work. Well, a lot of the technologies that we're going to be sharing with you tonight work the same way. But there is, in many situations, in many cases, an optimal order for these things to be used in. And if you follow the order and sequence that I share with you, you're probably going to get the biggest bang for your buck in the shortest amount of time possible. So that's my little kind of sidebar on what's behind the system I'm about to share. Now, obviously, I don't have time to teach you the entire system. It takes me at least 3 days to teach people the six-stage universal persuasion protocol. But what I am going to teach you are some of those hardcore radioactive nuggets that give you the biggest bang for your persuasion buck every single time you decide to use them. If you use them, they'll work for you. If you don't use them, you might as well not even be on the webinar. Okay, so I'm going to give you the overview of the system. I'm going to drill down into 3 or 4 key areas. And then depending on your questions and where we go, I'll present our offer. I'll come back, I'll continue to teach and drill down on those areas. So you come away with actionable techniques that you can actually use. Does that sound cool? Okay. Okay, excellent. Yeah, the shit metaphor is me not taking myself too seriously. I see lots of hands, and again, I'm asking my handlers and my my virtual people who are monitoring the chats, if there's a question that they can answer, please do. Otherwise, you know what to do. So what you're seeing here on your screen is the CPI killer influence system, and this is what I call the universal persuasion protocol. So before you begin any single persuasion interaction, the first thing you got to know is your outcome. You got to know what you want. And even most importantly, you've got to know how you're getting it, or if you're getting it, how you know you're getting it. If you don't have that benchmark in place, then it doesn't really matter what skills you know. It's going to be random, okay? But if you know what you want, and it doesn't have to be very complicated. It could be as simple as making a friend. It has to be something that you can measure. So when you're going to create an outcome, when you're going to create a goal, a persuasion outcome for yourself, a result you want to produce, you've got to have a way of measuring it. Okay. Now, if you were in NLP, they would say it needs to be measurable by one of the five senses, something you can see, something you can hear, something you can smell, something you can taste, something you can touch, right? If you're using the SMART goal system, it needs to be strategic, or what's the word? Specific, manageable, actionable, realistic, and timely, right? I don't care what system of measurement you're using, as long as it's something that can give you an indication of whether you're actually moving towards what you want or not. You know, in the very first course I ever wrote for to teach people how to become their partner's ideal lover, one of the very first things I said in that course was the reason that most attraction and dating systems fail to work isn't because of the technology. It's because the people practicing them don't have a way to calibrate if what they're doing is actually working or not, right? You have to learn to pay attention to people, to pay attention to the results you're producing. Okay, so again, everything that we're going to teach you has to start with an outcome. After that, there are 6 layers, 6 specific stages that this system is all about to get what you want. You're going to learn to control your state. You're going to learn to get rapport with your subject. You're going to use whatever language skills you have to manage the state of the subject, the person you want to influence. If you can pay attention to how they think using NLP type methodologies, you jump into their process, and then you bond to their emotional criteria and values. Now, we're going to drill down on the emotion on this part. We're going to drill down on this part today. Okay. If you have an outcome, you know how to, and we're going to drill down on the rapport part. Okay. So we're going to get about 3 or 4 of the 7 stages, and we're going to go, again, we're going to have like a sample platter approach. But if you put these together in the right order, you're going to get a synergy. You're going to get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. So that's the entire system can be found in our CPI or killer influence training. We talked about that at the beginning of the webinar. It was named the #1 NLP covert hypnosis course in the world for 2020. Hold on a second. Let me find my eraser here. Okay. So once again, the universal persuasion protocol, starting with your outcome, you want to control your state. You want to get rapport with your subject. You want to use whatever language skills you have. You're going to come away from tonight with some very powerful language skills that are very simple. You just got to use them. You need to use these 3 processes to manage the state of the subject. So you got to know what state they're in and what state you want them to be in, and know how to get them there. You need to jump into whatever cognitive process they use to make a decision. Now, the good news is if you follow these earlier pieces, this will happen automatically. I'll teach you how to do that in a moment. Okay. And then you want to emotionally bond to their criterion values. The criterion values, by the way, for those of you who don't have an NLP background, is a very complicated and abstract way of saying emotional bonding checklist. And here's why this is important. You see, for every single thing human beings decide to do, there is a checklist inside of their head, whether they're conscious of it or not, that is the idealized experience of it. A set of parameters that have to be satisfied out in the outside world. They'll cause them to generate a feeling that is emotionally gratifying to them. if you can link their emotions to what you want them to do in a way that they recognize that doing what you want gets them what they want on an emotional level, they will tend to do what you want them to do out of default of their own choosing. Does that make sense? If that makes sense to you and you get that, please type that in the chat. Cool. All right. A lot of people in our YouTube channel as well. I'm sorry that there's a little bit of a delay between when I speak. So this, again, we cover this much more in depth in the CPI system and in the killer influence system, but this is where the elements of the training that we're going to cover tonight are drawn from. If you want to know more about how to get more of that information, I'm happy to point you in the direction of where to go for that. But again, once again, repeat after me. You don't have to do it in the chat, but repeat after me. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage the state of the subject. Jump into their process. Bond to their emotional criteria and values. Okay. So let's start with the beginning. So this is the first exercise. One of the, I can talk to you for an hour, or I can give you one experience that will completely transform your life. So here's what I want you to do. You remember earlier, I asked you specifically to write down what you want to be able to do as a result of this webinar. In other words, if you came away from this webinar with the answer to one thing that would have made it completely worth your while, what would that one thing be? If you haven't written it down already, I want you to go ahead and write that down now on a piece of paper. Type done when you're ready to move on to the next piece. I will not move on until everybody has typed that in. Now, for this exercise, you're going to need a pencil and a paper. Because again, if you physically interact with this and you physically do this exercise, you will understand exactly the kinds of feelings you're going to be generating in other people. And once you understand that you're doing this with people and you understand how good it feels and you experience it for yourself, you're going to be excited about going forward. Okay, so now here's how the exercise works. This is one of the fastest, most powerful ways to get others to want to do what you want them to do. It's to bond yourself to their product or service at the emotional level. So I'm going to jump to my my OneNote, because this is the free form part of the webinar. Now, as we go through this exercise, I want you to constantly be relating it back to the reason you came on this webinar and what following the instructions in this webinar will do for you. If you do this, you're going to learn how to emotionally bond your subject or subjects to you, your product, or your service, and literally make them want to do what you want them to do. Okay, and for those of you who are here for attraction purposes, little extra step. If you are eliciting the emotional needs of a significant other or someone who you want to be attractive to, not only must you describe and talk about these things, you must also embody them and express them. So I just wanted to put that out there because a lot of you are here for relationship reasons, okay? It's important to not only know what they are and talk about them, it's also important to actually express the behaviors that your subject equates with that value or that emotion or that value. Value is the best word. So the emotional bonding checklist relates to a category of beliefs in NLP known as criteria and values. Functionally speaking, criteria and values are checklists by which we decide if something that we encounter is right or desirable in our personal reality. Okay, so here's the thing I need you to understand is that a person's emotional, and in our world, I keep it simple. I call it the emotional bonding checklist. The important thing to remember from this particular mini lecture is this: people have a personal, unique emotional bonding checklist for every single decision that they make. Let me come back on screen and explain this to you. There's two kinds of filters that human beings have. There's context-dependent filters and context-independent filters. When you start looking at a person's emotional bonding checklist, human beings are literally moving through the world with little check boxes below the threshold of conscious awareness. And every time they see something, they put a little check in the box. Think about, how many of you here know what a sonar or a radar is? Anybody here? If you know what that is, type that in the chat. Okay, for those of you who don't know how a sonar or radar works, sonar is this little sound device at the base of usually at the base of a submarine, sometimes at the top. It sends out a little ping, right? It just sends out a little wave. And as that wave goes out, if it hits something solid, that wave bounces back. And that bounce back from the wave is interpreted by the sonar machine and is represented to the people driving the sub and looking for whatever it is they're looking for using sonar. Human beings have a very similar function with their map of the way of what they consider to be desirable and perfect in their world. In other words, they have a little checklist and they're moving through the world projecting, emanating that internal checklist out through their five senses, through their hands, through their words, and they're looking for people who reflect back to them an image or a representation of themselves. When they find something that matches their little checklist, they orient on it like a moth to a flame, okay? The nervous system literally can't ignore it, okay? Are you guys with me so far? Now, if you can get out of your head long enough to ask people questions and pay attention to their responses and use their words effectively, you can, in a normal conversation, bond and stimulate their deepest emotional desires to what you want them to do. Ethically and honestly. I'm going to talk about the ethics issue as soon as I'm done teaching you the technique. I'm not a persuasion cop. I can't control how you use this material. It can be misused. I'm not going to lie to you. But if you do it the way I teach you, you will never need to lie, cheat, steal, or deceive, manipulate, or exploit anyone in any way to get the things you want. In fact, you will get more by not doing that. Okay? Even if you determine that what you have to offer isn't a fit for the person that you're using this with. If you tell them that right off the bat, they will bring people and send people to you. So again, this is how we begin the process of ethical and honest persuasion, by finding out what people want, how they know they're getting it, and describing our product or service in exactly that way. So we're going to do that with ourselves for a moment together, and you can experience this for yourself. So the other thing I want, and circling back, this is one of the things I want you to understand, is that a person's checklists are context dependent. You may have a set of checklists for buying a pen, a separate set of checklists for buying a stick of gum, a separate checklist for how you select a mate, a checklist for how you buy a house. They will be different as the context changes. Other parts of how human beings think and behave and process their thoughts are not context dependent, right? Some people who sort for similarity will always sort for similarity first, and then difference later, and vice versa. People who are, that's what we call a meta program there. That's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, the important thing to understand is context, context, context. So I'll probably try and do some demos for you a little bit later as we get through the process. But for right now, are you guys ready to do this drill with me? Type yes if you're ready to do the drill. Okay, so on a piece of paper, I want you to write exactly, stop for a moment and imagine you got the tool that you came for tonight, right? You did all the steps I told you to do. You took the actions, you applied the information, and you got what you wanted. Boom. I want you to imagine it right now in your head. Close your eyes if you want, unless you're driving. Don't do this if you're driving, right? I want you to see what you see, hear what you hear, smell and taste what you smell and you taste, and really be in that moment. And I want to ask you a question. And I want you to write the question, and then I want you to write the answer. What's important about that? Write down what you got, and then underneath that, write the question, what's important about that, and write the answer. So let me see if I can find my template for you. It might make it easier. Okay, so here we go. So by the way, this is the master, what we call the master echo sequence. One of the most important things that you can do is use a person's very own words, okay? So let's say I'm asking you, well, we'll cover that in a minute. We'll just do this drill ourselves real quick. So So what do we get from this seminar? And if you got that, what's important about that product or service or experience? In other words, what's important about having it? And I want you to write that answer. Now, I'm not going to ask you to share that with the group. I just want you to write it so you have your answers readily available, right? Then once you have that, let me see if I can find a better template for you. Here we go. So what's important, type in your answer, write your answer, what's important about that. And if you got that part, if you got what's important about it, ultimately, what would that do for you, right? What would you experience? What would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel, right? And if you, and I'd go about 3 levels down. So again, I asked the question, hold on a second. I'm trying to find the optimal way to view this because I keep changing things here. So you asked the question, what's important about what you came out tonight, right? Type your answer. If I got that, what's important about it? Type your answer. And if I got that, ultimately, what would that do for you? And what's important about it, right? So if you do this properly, you should have 3 sets of answers, each one getting a little bit more emotional. Is that true or not true? How many of you noticed you're getting a little bit emotional as you were typing your answers? Okay, now here's where it gets fun. I want you all to stand up. I want you all to stand up. And now, in the privacy of your own room, I want you to speak those answers to yourself 5 times. Just repeat them out loud 5 times, from the most superficial up here to the deepest here. And when you've done that, type done in the chat. Kathleen says done. Anybody else? Done? Perfect. What did you notice when you repeated those, just the answers to that question out loud? What did you notice? What did you feel? Type your answers in the chat. Happy heart? You go into a powerful state? Feel awesome, happy? Just gets better and better. Of purpose, excellent, Chris. Mantra, very good. Empowered, perfect. Do you think it would be okay for all of your customers, partners, friends, spouses, loved ones? Would it be okay to move through the world helping everybody else feel this good or better? You think that'd be useful? Deep connection. Antoinette says happy. This is how we go through the world, making everyone we meet feel ridiculously good. You see, everyone you meet has an emotional driver that they want to satisfy. This is how it's meant. That's right, Chris. Okay. This is what you're going to be giving with people. Okay. This is what you're going to be giving people. This is what you're going to be sharing with them. Okay. Here's the thing you need to understand about the process. Okay. So as you link this to everything I'm going to teach you to do, so you can get more of what you want, understand this. What you tapped into was a person's emotional reasons for everything they do. Now, it's context dependent, but for every single thing a human being can conceive of, they're going to have an emotional bonding checklist that can be accessed just like I showed you. Okay, this is where we're going to start. Okay, if you can link, you can get a person to emotionally bond what they want to what you offer, they will tend to do what you want by default. And you will gain tremendous, tremendous loyalty, connection, and trust from this person. A person cannot go against these things without experiencing emotional pain. They cannot have those things massaged and stimulated without feeling emotional pleasure. Is that cool to move through the world showing people how to feel ridiculously good and getting everything they want by doing what you want. Is that an ethical win-win way to go through the world? So Elodie's asking, are there any negative side effects for using the echo technique with someone who's a bit dodgy? Would it potentially contaminate echo? I don't know what echo shredding is. Using the echo technique with someone who's dodgy, it really depends on their level of sensory acuity. But by and large, people who are dodgy are just as susceptible to the echo technique as anybody else. And that's where we're going next. What if there was a way to literally force somebody to pay attention to you, a way to literally at the neurological level cause them to just vomit information about themselves in such a way that the longer they talk to you, the more connected and attracted to you they became? Would that be something you'd like to learn about? Type yes if you'd like to learn that in the chat. Okay, so some of you have already hinted at it. You've seen me alluding to it in some of my things. We're going to talk about a technique we call the echo technique. Now, what I just shared with you is called the emotional bonding checklist. Part and parcel to the emotional bonding checklist is this concept of the echo technique. The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Let me repeat that a couple more times. The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Okay? Now, you don't have to believe me for this to work for you. All you have to do is go out and go amongst humans in their natural habitat. And when people speak to you, simply use as many of their words when you respond to them as possible and notice what happens. How many of my veterans here have used the echo technique in the past? Just type that in the chat. Kevin asked, does this work with a narcissist? Works exceptionally well with narcissists. Works exceptionally well with narcissists. It works, right? Okay. The way you get to this deep level of emotional bonding checklist is through the echo technique. You ask a question, you echo it back, you agree with them, wash, rinse, repeat. So let me, now, in the earlier slide, I showed you what we call the master validation sequence or the master echo sequence. And that's what we're going to cover now. So at the basic level, the principle that I want you to get is if you want to force somebody to pay attention to you in such a way that they literally can't not, the fastest, most powerful way to do that is the echo technique. You will trigger a process in them that causes them to want to connect with you more deeply, that causes them to want to be with you more often, to close that distance and be in your presence more. You literally become the most fascinating person they've ever talked to in a few minutes. Do you think that would be useful socially, professionally, personally? Would that be useful to just be able to walk up to someone and become the most fascinating person they've ever met in a few short minutes? Right? That's exactly what the echo technique will do. Right? The echo technique is the foundation technique that it's like the skeleton key or the bump key to the human nervous system. People can't resist the echo technique, even when they know it's being done. Even when they know it's being done. Okay? So if you come away from this webinar with nothing but the echo technique and an understanding of that emotional bonding checklist, you're already miles ahead of the competition. But we're gonna give you the opportunity to learn this a little bit more deeply. So let me share with you, if I can, what I call the master echo sequence or the master validation sequence. Okay, there's an optimal way for you to echo. Okay, and here's how it goes. So this is am I sharing my screen? Okay, yes, okay. So this is how to get maximum attention in minimum time. Most powerful way for human beings to communicate with is the echo technique. It literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you. It eliminates the problem of making small talk. This is one of the beautiful things about the echo technique. How many of you guys here hate small talk? Bernardini says, I have a friend that always repeats the last word I say to him before I start talking, and I fucking love him. That's absolutely right. Right? I hate small talk. That's why I surround myself with people who are into the things I love, because I don't have to make small talk. But if you ever find yourself in the line at Starbucks and you got a little chatty Kathy or chatty George or whatever, this will help you tremendously. If you're at networking functions where you don't know how to get people to really want to remember you or whatever, that's one of the problems that you have, is that people don't remember people who don't engage them emotionally. If you use the echo technique properly, you will automatically engage their emotions. Okay, so, and the beautiful thing about the echo technique is that when you use it, it triggers a process inside of people that makes them want to reveal themselves. It makes them want to talk about themselves even more. And here's the best part about this. And I have to, there's always a smile on my face when I explain this. When they hear the echo technique, that their sonar's going out, right? You hear what they say and you give them back exactly what they were sending out. When it comes back as 100% match to their internal checklist. And they get so excited, they orient on you like a magnet, right? Like a laser beam, like laser focused. And because they heard exactly what was going on inside their head, they feel validated, they feel heard and understood and connected to, and they want to tell you more. You understand? So what will happen is the moment you echo a person back, they'll start talking more. And they'll keep talking, and you won't have to say all that much except to echo them strategically from time to time. And here's the best part. The longer they talk, the more trusting, connected, and attracted to you they tend to become. Is that useful? Type yes in the chat. Type yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say, right? And you don't have to say anything practically. And they feel so validated, so heard and understood when you echo them properly. They will feel like you've known them better than their best friends do. KJ Brocky's asking, does it help to make them wait a while sometimes as in responding to an email? Waiting doesn't seem to be a factor, either for or negative, as long as it's their words. As long as it's their words, it'll register. NG says they get disappointed when I reject the romantic gestures. Yes. Again, I'm warning you right off the bat. This stuff is powerful. Use it at your own risk. But if you're here to take the randomness out of your life, if you're here to get more of the things you want, to hear yes more often, use these techniques. Build them into whatever other systems of persuasion or influence you happen to know. If all you do is come away with what we've learned tonight, you'll already be way ahead. And try to get caught. John Masters is literally one of the masters. He's been studying me for a long time. He's gone out into the world and uses all over the place. Try to get caught and notice what happens instead, right? And the best part is, even if you get caught, there's nothing to catch, because all you're really doing is communicating to a person. This is the important piece. You're communicating to a person in exactly the way nature designed them to want to be communicated with. Right? So here's something I want you to think about. Assuming what I'm saying is true, right? Now, don't believe me. Talk to the people who've been using the echo technique for any length of time and go off their experiences, okay? Think about this for a moment. I'm telling you right now on this webinar on May 6, 2021 at 4:59 p.m. Pacific time, that the echo technique is the fastest, most effective way, most authentic and fulfilling way to communicate with another human being. Understand that? Now, here's the thing I want you to think about. If you knew the way to talk to somebody that would cause them to feel absolutely connected, absolutely heard, absolutely validated, and want to spend more time with you because it felt good to be around you. If you knew exactly how to do that and you chose not to, who's the jerk now? Think about it for a moment, right? If the echo technique is the most ethical, honest, satisfying, and gratifying way to communicate from one human being to another, and you choose not to do it, well, who's being the jerk, right? Now, A common thing that happens when people start to use echo technique for the first time is something called the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is this sense of self-consciousness that arises whenever you start to employ a technique that isn't something you organically, unconsciously do for yourself. And because you know you're actually using a technique, you think that everybody else knows it too. I'm here to tell you that is not the case, right? When we come back from our promotion, our explanation of our package that we've got, I'm going to tell you some really cool stories about people not believing the echo technique would work, how I use it in business, how I connect that and integrate that with criteria and values, right? And how you can begin to put it into practice right away, okay? But this is, again, if you go back to that CPI model, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage the state of the subject, right? The echo technique bridges rapport, language, and state management. It connects all three of those levels in one technique. It also puts you right into their process. You don't need to know how or why that works. All you need to know is that the moment you start echoing them, you're also jumping into their process and indirectly linking right to their emotional criteria and values without asking for it. Okay? Because if you go back to that first exercise where I had you write down, go back to that exercise and read that list out loud a few more times. Just read it out, read your answers out loud. You don't have to read the questions. Just read your answers out loud and notice what happens to the feelings in your body. Type that in the chat. Type done when you're done. Robin's like, Robin figured it out. All you're doing is repeating your very own words to yourself. That's all you're doing. You understand? Every time you communicate with someone this way, they're going to have feelings like this. And they're going to be looking at you when they do. Guess who gets linked to all those good feelings? That's right. Not hard, just get out of your own way, right? But again, one of the things that holds us back is this idea that we're going to get caught. Well, here's the first thing. If you know in your heart of hearts that this is the way to make people feel the most heard, understood, accepted, approved of, validated, it allows you to understand people better than people who've known them 20 years. And if you come from the place of wanting to know them better and wanting to communicate with them in the best, most fulfilling way possible, there's nothing for you to get caught doing. What are they going to do? So why are you repeating the words I say? All I say is because I want to understand you better and make sure that we understand each other better and communicate correctly. Is that okay? Who's going to say no to that? The only time that you will get caught in a negative way is if you start echoing somebody and they catch you and you stop doing it. That's it, right? Because there's a frame war that goes on. We don't have time today to talk about reality frames and things of that nature. In some of the courses that we're going to talk about later, we'll be talking about frame wars and reality frames and things to do. But the thing is if you understand, if you adopt the echo technique as a way of life, just your default way of moving through the world, that when you don't know anything else to do, or you don't have a specific outcome in mind, just reflect their words back to them in exactly the words that came out. Don't do reflective listening, which is kind of hearing what they said, changing the words and saying that back. Keep to the exact words humanly, the most exact words humanly possible. You got me on that so far? Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you I'm just going to give you some real quick pointers on this. So what we've got here, let me go back to sharing my screen. What you've got here is called the master echo sequence. And the way this works is you ask a question. It always starts with asking a question. Whatever they say to you, you agree. You find some way to signal that you're in agreement, you understand where they're coming from, you totally get them, they're good enough. You repeat back what they just said. You ask another question, and then you pay attention to the responses. So, real quick example for this is once upon a time, I had a martial arts school in Coral Springs, Florida. And if you went a half a mile in any direction, there was another martial arts school. And so I would literally get calls that went something like this. Ring, ring. Good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hi, David. My name's Brenda. I'm looking for karate. I'm interested in karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. Oh, hey, Brenda. Good to meet you. So you're looking for karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Yeah. Now, that sounds funny because I literally just repeated back what they said, but that's exactly what they do. Okay. And I say, well, Brenda, karate lessons are a really great step for 10-year-old kids. And I'm sure Josh has some good reasons for wanting to take karate, but I'm curious, just so I understand you better, what's important to you about karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Well, David, I'm glad you asked because, Josh is a great kid. He's super, super smart, but he's small for his age. In fact, not only is he small for his age and he's super smart, but he's so smart. His teachers actually moved him up a grade, and they're actually ready. I'm ready. I'm afraid that when he gets into that earlier grade, that the bigger kids are gonna pick on him. And I think I've always heard that martial arts was good for concentration, was good for self-defense, and I thought it would be a really good thing for Josh to kind of help him, keep up and be accepted by the older kids. Oh, I see. So Josh is not only really smart, he's and small for his age. His teachers have actually moved him up a grade, and you're worried, and you heard that martial arts was a good way to build confidence and just for self-defense. And you like to use that to help him focus and kind of help the kids accept him. Is that true? Yeah, David, that's exactly it. Can you help me? Well, the truth be told, Brenda, is that martial arts is a great way to teach younger, smaller kids how to defend themselves. It allows them to become to concentrate more easily and to focus more readily. And because of that confidence, he'll tend to carry himself better. And that'll cause the older kids to kind of give him a little bit more respect, and they'll be more willing to accept him. Now, to help Josh along, we have a special program designed specifically for kids who need to be able to kind of focus better, to have more concentration, to be able to protect themselves from bigger, stronger bullies and things of that nature. It's a 2 private lesson class along with 1 group class. It comes with a free uniform. And we'd like to offer that to you to come in and try it out. We have a slot available today at 5:30 p.m. We also have one available tomorrow at 6 p.m. Which would be better for you? Let me think. I think tomorrow at 6 would be better because then I can pick him up at school. He can get his homework done. He can have dinner, and then we can come in and try the lessons. Great. I'm going to put you and Josh down for tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'll just have my secretary take some information, and we're going to help Josh and you to stand up to those bullies, to have more self-confidence, self-respect, more focus, and be more accepted in that higher grade, so that you can feel confident knowing that Josh is in the right place. We'll talk to you soon, Bernice. You have a great night. Thank you, David. We'll talk to you soon. Click. About 9 out of 10 people show up from that. Okay. That's literally how the conversation went, right? I don't have to add, well, again, 80% of what you're going to say comes out of their mouth, comes out of the person's mouth. Now, the way that you hack this is a little template. Going back to this, you ask your question. So here, ask your question. Pay attention to response. And then you repeat back what they said. You agree with it. You repeat it again, sometimes in the form of a question, and you ask again, you pay attention, and you just keep cycling through that. Okay. Now, be warned, if you're using this out in the field, right, people will start to run off at the mouth, right? They'll start to just keep talking. Let them. because the longer they talk, the more connected to you they become, the more trusting of you they become. So I want you to go back. And when we come back, we'll look at ways to mask the echo technique, ways to integrate it with the emotional bonding checklist. And then depending on, real quick question, when we come back from our process, are you guys more interested in learning how to make people like, love, and trust you? Or getting people to how to remove resistance to persuasion? Which would be something you're more interested in? Type it in the chat, which one you'd like to focus on when we come back. Both. Resistance removal, okay. 3MQ. Well, I think it's an overwhelming, we're overwhelming on this one. Okay, all right, so if it's okay with you, I'd like to share with you a training opportunity that we've put together. When we come back, we'll talk about some ways to mask the echo technique in normal conversations. And then we'll focus on resistance removal, specifically how to utilize this in normal conversations to get people to want to do the things they've just said they didn't want to do. Does that sound like a plan? So before you jump on our offer, make sure you review everything on your checklist that we wrote down and connect it to what I'm about to tell you, okay? Can you do that? Styles. Okay, cool. All right, so without further ado, I have a question. Who wants to take their lives to the next level? Put your answer, say I'm ready in the box if you're ready to take your life to the next level. Because if you're ready, if you're ready to go, I'm ready to show you how to do that. Okay? I'm ready. Excellent. Here we go. All right. I want everybody to answer. 3MQ is resistance removal. With your permission, I'd like to teach you about a program I put together specifically for you. It's called The Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Training Home Study Course. This is a course that allows you to hack the human nervous system in an ethical, honest, and powerful way that lets you get what you want and make people want to do what you want them to do. It's all about helping to take your life to the next level. So whether you come to this webinar looking to make more money, to close more deals, to have more dates, to be able to help your clients better, to feel more confident or powerful, the Secrets of Human Influence program is all about winning the game of life. And I'd like you to really think of it as a game, because if you think of it as a game, you're going to play it better. Okay? If you'd like to be 30% better at everything, learn to be more playful. That's a statistic that comes from a hostage negotiation, by the way. This program will teach you step by step by step in exquisite detail how to become more charming, charismatic, and irresistible, the way I define it and the way you define it. Okay? So here's what it's about. There is a time limit on this offer. It does expire tonight, May 6th at 11:59 p.m. As we go through this process, again, remember that hard deadline. There will be some other things that are actually even more time sensitive that I'm going to share with you. So please link what you want to what we're going to be giving you. This is The Secrets of Human Influence is a 17 video course that teaches you the entire 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. Our time-tested, never disclosed to the general public state control training. It's proprietary. How to think like a master influencer, which is how to set goals and how to measure them, how to become very, very outcome directed as an influencer, how to know who you are and the things that are important to you and what's not. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you how to control your psycho-emotional state, how to go into and out of any emotional state as an act of will, so that you can, and how to link those emotions to other people's neurologies so that they actually begin to feel the way you want them to feel when you want them to feel that. And if you do it properly, and there's actually drills and tests for that you'll be able to use to figure out when you've made that connection now, that'll let you know that that connection has taken place. And it will actually change the perceptual filters, that reticular activating system or emotional refractory period that everybody has that controls what you pay attention to. You'll learn how to tap into that and change it from the inside out. But probably the best part about the psycho-emotional state control is this, is once you understand how this works, you can be in control of yourself anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, and no one can push your buttons or manipulate you emotionally for any length of time against your will ever again. Would that be a good superpower to have? So $297, it should be a $1,297 value because this is something that everybody needs to know. We're going to teach you power rapport skills. In our approach to human influence, we have 3 levels of rapport. Each one teaches you how to influence human beings in a very different way. Some are more optimized for attraction applications. Others are more optimized for therapeutic applications. Others are more optimized for selling applications. We're going to show you the differences that make the difference, how to do each and every one, so you can turn on the right juice, the right mojo, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, for any reason, because that's what it's about. We're all about wielding influence from the boardroom to the classroom to the seminar room to the treatment room to the bedroom. Okay, it's a $297 value. We're going to teach you the most powerful, irresistible hypnotic language patterns in the world, the ones that really create the most powerful and irresistible change in another human being. These 7 patterns will allow you to A, direct a person's internal focus of awareness to exactly what you want them to be and exclude everything else. It'll allow you to automate mental processes inside the minds of your listener so that they automatically begin to undergo the cognitive thought restructuring that you want them to have. We're going to teach you, using another language pattern, how to make anything you want seem to cause anything you want in the mind of your listener. Another language pattern will teach you how to make anything you want mean anything you want in the mind of your listener. That's all on top of the echo technique. And then there's yet another pattern will show you how to force a person's internal thoughts and mental mind movies to be exactly what you want them to be, without any danger of being misinterpreted. Okay, and it creates such a powerful state of absorption-based trance in them that they literally find you the most fascinating, compelling, charismatic speaker in the room. Okay, $297 value. We're going to teach you how to manage the emotional states of others, right? So that they're emotionally primed where you want them to go, and you can sequence them from one emotional state to the next, to the next, to the next, until they naturally take the behaviors that lead to you getting the things you want, and hopefully them getting the things that they want. We're going to teach you how to hijack a person's own internal behavior code. You see, for every behavior a human being engages in, whether it's a thought, a feeling, a memory, a belief, or a physical action, there's a sequence of cortexes of the brain that fire in a certain sequence, kind of like a code to an alarm, or a code to your GPS, or a code to a spark plug firing sequence in your engine. And that keys to that brain real estate, that firing sequence, come out in the way a person speaks. Using the CPI system, the Killer Influence System, you'll be able to pick up that code instantly and use it to get people to take the behaviors you want them to take at the time you want them to take them. It's really powerful, and it's based on the technologies I've already taught you. It's just an extension of what you're learning, all right? It's a $297 value. And finally, like we've been alluding to here, like we've talked about today, we're going to take it even deeper. We're going to show you how to even more powerfully emotionally bond anyone's deepest desires to doing what you want them to do and get them to want to do it like that. It's almost unfair if it weren't for, in fact, the most powerful and ethical way to persuade anyone to want to do what you want them to do ever devised. It's a $297 value. We're also going to include what I lovingly call the Killer Influence Master Text. This is our Killer Influence Manual, and it covers everything that we've just talked about. It also teaches you the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence, of the categories of authority, attractivity, affinity, and acquiescence. If you have any 2 of these, you'll automatically generate a 3rd one, which gets you full compliance. And again, authority is the king, attractivity is the queen, everything else follows suit. We'll teach you powerful techniques on each of those categories that you can use to leverage everything we've talked about so far and make everything you're doing even more powerful than than you've already experienced. We're going to teach you about proxemic hypnotic operators. This is how to manage and manipulate spatial relationships between you and another person. Most people don't realize that simply standing on a person's dominant side, if they're right-handed, standing on their dominant side will actually cause them to think more highly of you than if you stand on their non-dominant side. Where do you sit at a meeting or negotiation to have the maximum hypnotic impact, the maximum authority in the minds of your listener? We'll show you step by step how to do that. How do you position yourself in relation to another human being so they automatically perceive you as more trustworthy, likable, and less threatening? These are just some of the things you'll learn in that chapter. We'll teach you about social hypnotic operators. These are some of the most powerful hypnotic triggers that every human being is susceptible to, because society itself programs these into you. Things like reciprocity and liking and commitment and consistency and scarcity. These are all things that it's like you flip a switch and the behaviors are automatic. You'll learn how to use them, how to recognize them, and how to protect yourself from when they're being used on you. We're also going to teach you about meta programs. Meta programs are ways people think about the world, and how to, if you match a person's meta programs, they automatically consume your information in the way that's most normal and natural for them to want to do what you want them to do. And there's so much more. If you want to learn how to cold read people, how to detect lies, it's also included in this Killer Influence Master Text. It's a $418 value. And we're also going to give you access to a special online community where you can actually practice and learn these skills hands-on. So that's what we've got: the Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course, 17 videos, 200+ page manual, the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. Total value, $2,497. But as you can probably guess, especially if you've been bebopping around Planet David for any plan of time, we're not going to stop there. There's a lot more coming your way. Just stay tuned. Grab your course today, and we'll also include these special bonuses. First one is going to be Weapons of Mass Instruction. This is the scientific and seductive storytelling secrets, the neuroscience of narrative and persuasion, as I like to call it. You know, one of the most powerful persuasion tools on the planet, in fact, it's literally governed the history of mankind, is the power of story. And one of the most frustrating things I encountered when I was trying to learn how to use story and metaphor to persuade and influence, that nobody gave me an answer I could understand. Nobody gave me a set of do this, do this, do this, build this into your story, build that into your story, avoid this. They didn't teach me the things that I needed to know to be able to convey what I needed to convey. Everything I went to on storytelling was all about Ericksonian metaphors and the theatrics of storytelling or the hero's journey. None of that is really useful in my opinion. And I realized after buying yet another course on storytelling that was exactly the same thing as every other storytelling course I'd ever seen, that if I wanted a course that would give me the foundations, the neuroscience of how and why story actually works to be the most powerful persuasion tool in the world, I was going to have to create it. And so I did. I went on a mission. I started looking for all the neuroscience. I started looking at the top presenters, what they were doing, how they were doing it. I made some amazing discoveries. First and foremost, that there's actually a system behind the system. And I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. I created this course. I broke it up into 5 or 6 modules. The first module is all about connecting with stories. These are stories that allow you to connect in 5 minutes in a line at Starbucks and get people to bond with you so that they want to interact more fully and freely. We'll teach you about the neuroscience behind it, how it works and why. One of the things most people don't realize is that just hearing the word story, hearing that a story is implied, automatically triggers the listener's brain to entrain with that of the storyteller. And the longer and more absorbed they become in that story, the more those brain hemispheres align until they start actually anticipating what you're going to say next. And you can do all kinds of amazing things. Then I'm going to teach you about stories for leadership and what we call alpha stories. These are stories that have a powerful persuasion push to them. These, if you want to lead, motivate, inspire, get people to buy the things that you're selling or to take the next step in your life. These are stories that have more energy. They add more persuasiveness to your message. So we've got a whole chapter devoted to the structures and the neuroscience behind that. But one of the coolest things I discovered was something called omega stories. And omega stories were radically different than alpha stories. And this is, again, where we start to differentiate what we're doing in terms of weapons of mass instruction from every other storytelling course on the planet. Omega stories, think of it this way. An alpha story, here's a metaphor I like to use. An alpha story is all about persuasion push. So if I have this big filing cabinet and I need to push across a room, the heavier that filing cabinet is, the more I have to push. That's an alpha story, okay? But let's say I have to move a filing cabinet and I don't have enough juice, or it's too heavy for me in some way, right? But I put some rollers or I put some oil on the floor, and now I can slide that filing cabinet much more easily. That is exactly what Omega stories do. A lot of you are asking about resistance removal. You guys remember you asked me about that? Omega stories don't add more push to the message. They reduce and remove the resistance to the persuasion. It changes people's attitudes, thoughts, beliefs in the background. And it allows you to cause people to buy into the story, to associate into it. And then there's a phenomenon connected to storytelling called transportability. There's two factors that make stories irresistible. If you have these two factors, identification and transportability, the stories become exponentially more irresistible. Okay? Stories are one of the few things that can literally change a person's mind in the background, even if they're diametrically opposed to the attitudes prior to hearing it. So identification is one. We'll talk about the identification principle, how it works, how do you build it into your stories. The other one that's super cool is a phenomenon known as transportability. Transportability is the ability to get someone so fully absorbed and engrossed in your story that they can't not think about it. Okay? There are 6 key factors to building transportability into a story to make it even more irresistible. We're going to teach you what each of those 6 categories of phenomena are, how to build them into a story. We're even going to give you a checklist that once you've created your story, you can present it to a focus group, hand in this questionnaire, and they'll rate 21 questions. They'll rate the power of that story so that when you deploy it for an audience, when you deploy it in your podcast or you deploy it with a client, you know you have an accurate assessment of exactly how powerful and persuasive that story is. That's modules 5 and 6. The next module is another one. You guys have all heard these we call it ninja stories, right? You've all heard of famous public speakers like Mark Victor Hansen, Robert Allen, Lisa Sasevich, T. Harv Eker, Tony Robbins, of course. Who's some others that I can think off the top of my head? A lot of the marketing guys, right? And a lot of those people have speakers trainings, right? And a lot of them are using the tools and techniques of NLP in their stories. They're using stories as a delivery mechanism to enhance, amplify, and accelerate the persuasive power of a story, to prime people to think, feel, and behave in predictable ways. If you've ever seen guys like T. Harv Eker talk for a few hours and then half the room gets up and stampedes to the back of the room to buy every single thing that he has for sale. This is what he's doing. We literally take a transcript of one of his presentations and we deconstruct it and show you all the hidden NLP, all the confusion patterns, all the semantic priming, all the behavioral priming, all the presuppositions, things of that nature. We show you what he's doing, how he's doing it. And then we teach you each and every one of those techniques. I think there's about 12 different ninja influence techniques that form the ninja stories model, right? And so you'll learn how to do it. You'll learn how to be aware of it when it's being used on you so that you can engineer powerful, compelling presentations and stories that change people from the inside out, regardless of what your outcome is, whether it's to transfer learnings to people, to get them to want to take the next level and work with you in your coaching business or your therapy business or your sales business, whether it's to get people to come to your next event or upgrade to a higher coaching level package. We're going to show you the process, the persuasion architecture. You'll learn each of the techniques. You'll learn how they fit into each of these models. And you'll have a powerful step-by-step persuasion blueprint that lets you utilize story to its fullest effect. That's what Weapons of Mass Instruction is. If you were to try to buy it on the website, it would cost you $1,950 on the website. We're going to give this to you absolutely free as part of your Secrets of Ultra Persuasion package. Okay. Total combined value is $4,447, but we're not going to stop there. If you register for the Secrets of Ultra Persuasion Home Study course, we're also going to throw in one of my favorite courses. This is called Renegade Reframing and the Art of Conversational Belief Change. This is literally how to overcome objections or change any belief in seconds. Think about this for a moment. What if for every negative belief you had, any negative belief somebody else had, any argument or objection they had to doing what you wanted them to do, you had at least 14 different ways to overcome or change that belief? What would you be able to accomplish if you could literally just blow people's resistance out of the water and give them a better way to believe that would move their life forward and help you get what you want? Would that be useful to have? Because you see, about many years ago, Richard Bandler, the founder of NLP, would stand up in front of his practitioner classes and his master practitioner classes, and he would say, change my belief, meta model me, reframe my belief. And he would challenge his students. Deborah says just about everything. I agree. He would challenge his students to try to change his way of thinking. And every time a student would say, well, what about this? Or what about that? Or maybe it's this. He would use one of these patterns. And after a while, one of Richard's associates, a guy by the name of Robert Dilts, after observing Richard for a number of years, realized that there were 14 different strategies that Richard was using to completely blow his students out of the water every single time. He took those 14 patterns, he created and he called it sleight of mouth. And sleight of mouth has been one of the coolest aspects of NLP, also one of the hardest to crack. I've spent years unpacking this, simplifying it, making it more user-friendly, more streamlined. And I actually created a card game that would allow you to practice this. We call it the reframe game, right? And we're actually thinking about making it a drinking game, the reframe drinking game, where if you miss a reframe, you got to take a drink, right? It's a lot of fun. You can use this on yourself to overcome any limiting beliefs that you have. You can use it to win any argument, to overcome objections, things of that nature. It's a $1,950 people to register before the deadline tonight. We're going to give this to you absolutely free, 100%. Total value so far is going to be $6,000. If you went to the website and tried to buy them, by the way, you can't buy some of these on the website. They are not available. Okay. Total value would be $6,397, okay, when you register before the end of the webinar. But we're also going to throw in one of my favorite techniques. When I created the CPI system, this was the second CPI course I created. This is called Charisma on Command. I think we changed the name of it to Chemistry and Conversion, or Charisma, Chemistry, and Conversion. And this is hypnotic presentation skills for presenters and public speakers. I've taught my students for many, many years that the fastest way to build your business, the fastest way to get clients tomorrow by speaking today is through public speaking. And I teach my students how to do this. I teach the persuasion architecture. I teach two forms of presentation that allow you to do small group presentations and have people flooding to the back of the room to sign up for your product or service. And I teach one style that's geared towards large group presentations that allows you to have 30, 40, 100 people running to the back of the room to sign up for your product or service. It's very heart-centered. It teaches you basic stagecraft, the actual format of a talk that subliminally programs people to want to buy your stuff. In this course, we also deconstruct some of those transcripts I mentioned earlier for Weapons of Mass Instruction, so that you understand how this works and how it looks from the stage. We'll teach you about nested loops. We'll teach you how to hold a microphone. We'll teach you about sound systems. We'll teach you how to repurpose content, so that once you've recorded your talk, you can put it onto YouTube or Instagram and have those things out there generating more business and more authority for you forever, right? It's a $1,950 value. It's yours absolutely free. Total combined value of this package so far, if you were able to buy it on the website, is $8,347. So let's just review really quick what we've talked about. This is the Secrets of Human Influence 17 video universal persuasion protocol. It's a $2,497 value. The Killer Influence Master Text, $418 value. We're going to talk about that online community in just a moment, which I believe is absolutely priceless if you want to be good at this. The Weapons of Mass Instruction Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, recorded live, $1,950 value. Renegade Reframing, the Art of Conversational Belief Change, Speed Conversational Belief Change, $1,950 value. And finally, the Charisma on Command Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers, valued at $1,950. Total value, if you were to buy and get it on the website today, would be $8,347. But today I'd like to give you the best deal humanly possible. I'd like you to come away feeling like you got not only actionable tools, but where to go next. And I want to do that by giving you the best deal humanly possible, so you won't have to pay $8,347. We're not even going to charge you $6,347. We're not going to charge you $53.47, nor are we going to charge you $33.47. In fact, we're not even going to charge you $23.47. For those of you who want the most powerful persuasion system on the planet, you can get everything I've just described to you tonight for one low installment of just $997. Just $997. And if you need a little help, we can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 for you if you register before the end of the webinar. All you need to do to get that is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/GO. If you need help, if you have questions, reach out to Stephanie or Holly or Brandon. They are in the chats to help you and to answer your questions. If you need to speak with Stephanie directly, you can reach her at 858-282-4663. That's 858-282-4663. You can also email her, Stephanie, at nlppower.com. That's Stephanie at nlppower.com. Now, for those of you who like to call, please leave your contact information. If you call and leave your contact information before 11:59 tonight, you will qualify for this program. If you do not, you won't, okay? If the line out quick, so by all means, please, all you got to do, go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Stephanie will call you back. If you need to modify the payment plans a little bit, we do have some flexibility. Stephanie can fill you in on that better. Okay. So once again, if you're on the fence, I want you to understand something, that if you aren't successful with this, I don't want your money. So I'm going to give you a very special promise. I'm going to give you 90 days to try this out. 90-day guarantee. If the Secrets of Human Influence does not help you make more money, close more deals, move you towards your financial freedom, to cause you and allow you to feel more secure, confident, and powerful when interacting with other human beings and getting them to want to do what you want them to do. If it doesn't allow you to start winning in more social encounters and be more irresistible, then I'll refund every penny you paid. Okay? That's my 100% satisfaction guarantee. All I ask is that if you're having challenges with the content, if you're having challenges implementing any of the material in the course, reach out to us directly at 858-282-4663 or through Stephanie at NLP Power. Let us help you through your sticking points in terms of application. If after a reasonable amount of time it's still not working for you, I will happily give you your money back. Because if this material isn't useful for you, I don't want your money. Okay, my job is to help you become the person you want to be, to have the life you want the way you want it. And if this technology doesn't work for you, which is impossible for me to think about, but I want you to find something else that does. And I really, really believe that. I really, really mean that. So you have 90 days to put this to work. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't work, go give us a call. We'll refund your money. There's absolutely zero risk for this. You don't lose anything
by taking a shot at this. But I do ask that you actually do the drills and get the skills, because we're good at what we do, guys and gals, but I can't multiply zeros, okay? All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go, www.killerinfluence.com/go. And hopefully maybe Holly and Stephanie and Brandon can throw those links into the chats for people who need it. Okay. But as you can probably guess, especially if you've been bebopping around Planet David for any length of time, as if this wasn't amazing enough already, for those of you who are ready, for those of you who are truly committed to getting on the fast track to becoming a master of unstoppable persuasion, for getting the life you want the way that you want it, for achieving, look at that list of the things you wrote down at the beginning of this webinar. If you're ready to get that and more, here's what I got for you. I also found, if you sign up before I end the webinar tonight, in other words, when the courses I've just talked about are good until 11:59 p.m. The next set of bonuses are fast action bonuses. They're only available to you for as long as I'm logged into the webinar. The minute I log out of the Zoom room, these bonuses go away and you lose them forever, okay? So here's what we got for you. For those of you who really, really want to take your skills to the next level, to become an unstoppable master of persuasion and influence, we are going to give you a 3-month trial membership to our NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. So let me explain a little bit about how this works. It's a $594 value, and here's how it works. On the 3rd Saturday of every month, I get together with my students, sometimes in person, sometimes virtually. Now that we're moving back to being out of the pandemic, so to speak, or on the tail end of it, we're going back to live events. We'll start meeting again in person, but for the time being, we're still meeting virtually. But on the 3rd Saturday of every month, like clockwork, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., we all log into a Zoom room, and I literally go around the room and I say, Holly, what do you want to learn? John, what do you want to learn? Giselle, what do you want to learn? Bob, what do you want to learn? KJ, what do you want to learn? Stephanie, what do you want to learn? Brandon, what do you want to learn? Seth, what do you want to learn? Right? I take everything that they want to know about. I write them on the board and I look at it and I see where they all kind of intersect, where the connecting threads are. And I create a lesson plan right on the spot. And for the next 4 hours, I drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. Okay? At the end of those 4 hours, you take your new skill sets out into the world and you apply them. You will not get a certificate from the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you will get is hands-on skills, skills that will serve you every time you decide to use them. You decide to get this program and move forward and actually use these skills, okay? If you do the work, if you do the drills, you'll get the skills, and the skills will serve you. And it will take you from initiation or access to ownership. For everything that my students get from me, I always tell them, for everything you get from me, you'll always pay twice. The first payment's the easy payment, okay? That's the money. You can always make more money. It's the second payment, though, that's the most important. The second payment is the one of time, energy, effort. That's the payment that takes you from access to information to ownership. And it's a skill set and a power that will serve you anywhere you go, anytime you choose to use it. Okay, so I encourage you, if you liked what you've learned so far, if you've loved this package, and it's one of the best out there, in fact, it is the best out there, and you want to take it even further, join the mastermind program. Take that 3 months, and just on the 3rd Saturday of the month, just log in, tell me what you want to know about, and I will drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. Okay, but there's more to that. You see, this program has been running for a very long time. It's been running since 2010, October 2010 to be exact. And we have videotaped every single session. And we've archived those videos on the NLP Power website. We've archived a section of a chunk of them on our private Facebook group, and we've archived another part of them on our private YouTube channel. As a member of the Mastermind Mentoring Program, trial membership or not, you get 100% 24-hour-a-day access to the entire 10-year archive for as long as you're a member of the Mastermind, okay? Video that has never been shown on YouTube, video that's never seen the light of day. It's never been shown outside of members of the elite mastermind group. So that's thousands of hours of information on everything from energy work to therapy to attraction, marketing, copywriting, conversational hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, how to improve your memory, manifestation and law of attraction, and all points in between. It's yours to binge watch to your heart's content. If you've been binge watching our videos on YouTube, there's an equal number of videos that have never been on YouTube in the Mastermind Mentoring Archive, and you can binge watch it to your heart's content for as long as you're a Mastermind member. And you get the hands-on skills. You meet a bunch of cool people who like to do cool stuff just like you. That's free for you if you grab one of these memberships before I log off tonight. There's only a few spots of this left. If you like the Mastermind, stay. At the end of 3 months, let Stephanie know you want to continue. We'll make that happen for you. If you don't, you had 3 months of some of the most amazing people, the best skills and practice sessions, and massive content that nobody's ever seen for 3 months. Can't beat that with a stick, okay? Total value is way more than $594, but we'll put it in there. We'll put it in the chat for that, okay? But you're also going to get, for those of you who want to start hypnotizing and putting this stuff into action tonight, I've included this course. This is a course I created many years ago. It's called the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. It's a deep dive into the 7 most powerful language patterns that exist: lie detection, instant and rapid hypnosis inductions, hypnotic hot buttons. There's even a 5-video mini course where I'm teaching these hypnotic language patterns to a private meetup group. Powerful, powerful stuff. This is specifically designed for people who want to get started today. You can literally watch 2 videos and be ready to hypnotize somebody that night. It's a $997 value. It comes with manuals. It comes with workbooks and transcripts. It's a $997 value. It's yours absolutely free. So the total combined value so far for the fast action bonuses along with everything else is $9,938. Now, for those of you who've been around Planet David for a while, you know that I'm a huge proponent of live events. And this is probably the coolest part of our program. For those of you who are the next 15 people to register for this program today, we are going to issue you a special VIP super ticket. This ticket will grant you free admission to any single live event of your choice in our 2021 and 2022 calendar, even if it's something that we haven't added yet. Okay, now there are some limiters on this, and I just want to tell you. So the asterisk there says that there are some restrictions. A, it's for any course that's 5 days or less. Paul's asking, are we planning to return to the UK? Yes, as soon as the borders open, we'll be setting up trainings in the UK. If the course you want to come to has prerequisites that you haven't satisfied, you must take those prerequisites first. Now, let me explain a little bit more about the VIP ticket program, because nobody does this the way we do it. The VIP super ticket allows you to come to any training you want, provided you've qualified for it, even if the training's sold out. So let's say we have a training, like we're doing a face reading masterclass in July. It's a 4-day event. And let's say it sells out and you have this super ticket and you want to come to the event. If you tell Stephanie you have a super ticket, we will find a seat for you in the sold out training. If for some reason you sign up for a training and at the last minute the borders get closed again, your asshole boss makes you work, somebody dies in the family, somebody gets sick, or for whatever reason you can't make the training, all you have to do is pick up the phone, give Stephanie a call or an email, and we will move you to another training. You do not lose your ticket until you use it, okay? Let's say there's a training coming up, but your calendar was such that you couldn't make it. There was no way you were gonna be able to get to that training. All of a sudden, at the last minute, your schedule opens up, you wanna come to the training, but it's closed or the registration's over. All you gotta do is pick up the phone, give Stephanie a call or send her an email. We will move you to that training. Okay, let's say you have somebody that you would like to share this experience with. You can gift that ticket to a friend or a spouse or a partner or a sibling or a son or daughter. Okay. Final thing about this particular ticket is that once you have this ticket, the price of the event no longer matters. So Paul was asking if we're ever coming back to the UK. The answer is yes. We're also going to be going back to the EU. One of the things that we do when we go to places like the UK or the European Union is all of our events are in the local currency. So we don't have to fudge with exchange rates and things like that. So if you buy a 1950 event in the UK or a 1950 event in the EU, it's not going to be in dollars. It's going to be in pound sterling or in euros. That doesn't matter if you have one of our VIP tickets. So if you get one of our VIP tickets at the American price and you want to go to an event in the UK, it's not going to cost you anymore. You get to walk to the front of the room. You get a special seat, even if we're sold out. So massive amounts of value here. And there's no time limit on it. If it takes you 4 years to use that ticket, it'll still be good. You have it for as long as until you use it. Total value for all the trainings, for all the bonuses, for everything we've talked about. Total combined value is $11,888. All you got to do to get this VIP ticket, the 3 months of the mastermind, and the stealth instant conversational hypnosis crash course fast action bonuses is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Again, Secrets of Human Influence home study course valued at $2,497. Secrets of Human Influence Killer Influence Master Text, $418 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,950 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Renegade Reframing and the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Chemistry, Charisma and Chemistry and Conversion, $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and all the videos, $997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. And you're also going to get that VIP super ticket that gives you access to any single live event in our 2021-2022 calendar and beyond. Now, one of the things that I want to kind of really impress upon you is that people always ask me, especially in the early days, they would say, David, I noticed that the prices between your live events and the prices between your video courses are very close. What's a better investment for me? Should I buy the video or should I come to the training? Without hesitation, I look them in the eye and I say, come to the live events. Because at the live event, I can observe you. I can interact with you. I can give you drill after drill after drill. I can tweak and modify and customize drills to make sure that you come out on the other end of that seminar owning those skills in a way that's real world applicable. Then when you go back and you watch the videos of your course, you will see things you didn't see before. You will hear things you didn't hear before. You will see it through new eyes. Now, if you can't get to a live event, then the video courses are a good second choice. For those of you who are restricted by COVID, we do have a hybrid training program. If you're locked in Australia, Canada, the UK, the EU, and you can't physically get to a live event, you can take the course virtually. Holly, who's operating our YouTube chat room right now, she is our online mentor. She is amazing at teaching this stuff. I'm often in awe watching her work with 10, 20, 30 people at a time, getting them into Zoom rooms, monitoring their drills and making sure they get all their reps in. She is absolutely astonishing with what she can do. And so what we do is you can attend the event in real time through the Zoom interface. You will get broken up into groups. You will be doing the drills. Your drills will be counted. You will be issued a provisional certificate that is good for free attendance at any live event in the future. And then when you come to that live event, you go through the drills, we vet you on the skill sets, and you get a full certification in the discipline that you came to learn about. So you get a provisional certification if you do the online learning, which is contingent on the completion of a live event when the borders open. So you literally get 2 events for the price of one if you take it hybrid, but certain restrictions do apply. To qualify for the hybrid program, you must be legally restricted. You must be legally restricted from travel. So Australia, borders are closed. New Zealand, borders are closed. UK, borders are closed. EU, borders are closed. You can attend through the hybrid program. But if you're in Florida and you just don't want to haul your weenie butt to Vegas, you don't qualify, right? If you can get to the training, we expect you to get to the training. That's all we ask, because our job is to make you good. We can't make you good as well if we can't monitor your practice. And I asked, this ticket works one time. Yes, one ticket, one event. So if you have 12 tickets, you can go to 12 events, right? Limit 2 events per customer, right? So this is what we got for you, right? It's a $1,950 value. Now, if you notice, our prices are $2,250 and higher at the door. So this ticket can actually be worth a lot more than $1,950. But we're going to give it to you absolutely free if you want the next 15 people to register for the training. So total value, $11,888. You can get it all for one low installment of just $997. Or if you need to, we can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you need to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. And we'll help you out. So what's going to happen now is we're going to take a 5-minute break, 5-minute restroom break. When we come back, we're going to start teaching again. We're going to circle back. We're going to cover a little bit more on the echo technique. We'll try and integrate that a little bit with the emotional bonding checklist. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into the resistance removal formula. We'll show you how that works. We'll teach you how that works. And maybe we'll demo it for you as well. And you can feel how this works for yourself. So before you go to the bathroom, make sure that you register for your course. So you reserve your course so you can qualify for that free VIP ticket. When we come back, we're going to dive into more content, just like I promised. Is that fair? Cool. All right. Okay, cool. So it is 5:56 by my watch right now. And so let's take 7 minutes. So I'm going to be back at 6:04, I think. Yeah, 6:04. And we're going to jump right into more language technique, more resistance removal, and more emotional bonding. Okay. If you have questions, reach out to Stephanie, Holly, or Brandon, and they will help you get situated. So I'm going to go ahead and go potty. We'll see you soon. So while we're waiting for folks to come back from their breaks, you guys have any questions? We'll start, I have a few minutes before we have to get back. So what questions do you have, if any? So Paul, who's asking this? Who was that? Besides reps, is there a better way to get better at doing resistance removal? Besides reps, everything that you're going to need to do for resistance, for resistance removal is going to revolve around some kind of repetition. Now, those reps can be done mentally. They can be done in front of a mirror. They can be done with a live human. They can be done on yourself, but everything is a rep, right? The more context that you can actually practice in, the more comfortable you're going to be doing this anytime, anywhere. You see, one of the things that we've built our entire reputation on, we call what we do real world hypnosis. And the reason for that, the reason we call it real world hypnosis is because we want our practitioners and our members, our students, to be able to do this anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, with practically anyone for any reason. And so everything that we do is geared towards teaching you how to be that kind of practitioner, right? We're not, we try to teach to be the good Jedi, so to speak, but we're not persuasion cops. Some of you are going to be applying these things in very adversarial situations, like if you're a personal injury attorney, a law enforcement officer, interrogator, interviewer, auditor, things of that nature, mediator. Sometimes these things can get a little bit more combative or adversarial than others. And so you have to use tactics that are a little bit harsh. The vast majority of most people's applications don't need to go that direction. But we want you to be able to generate very powerful, very compelling, and irresistible communications that leave people feeling better for having done what you wanted them to do. And we want you to be able to do that anywhere you go. I don't care if you're a therapist. I don't care if you're a bartender. I don't care if you're a lawyer or mediator. I don't care if you're an aspiring pickup artist, right? Or if you just want to make your wife happier, your husband happier, or your children to get to listen to you better, right? We're not going to judge the application, but you need to understand how human beings work, and you need to develop the ability, at least in our world, this is our gold standard, the ability and the willingness to do this anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. I don't know of many other trainers who can brag, because I'm going to brag now about my students, who can do full hypnosis in a hotel, in the lobby of a hotel, undergoing renovations, next to a jackhammer that's actually operating, and be 100% successful. Our people can do that. And it's because of the way we train you. It's because of the drills and the way we make things simple and easy, and the way we introduce these things to you. Now, you may never be called to influence somebody next to a jackhammer, but wouldn't it be great to have that level of ability, right? You can. These methods are proven, they're tested over and over and over again. And so our commitment is to help you get there. That's why we give you the 90-day guarantee. That's why we make this so easy, and we give you that live ticket, because we want you to succeed. We want you to be successful. We're good at what we do. We really are, but we can't multiply zeros, So if you do your part, we'll do ours, right? Go ahead and get your package. If you know this is right for you, right? If you have doubts, well, I can't speak to that. You know how bad do you want what you say you want, right? But that's kind of where we come from. There are some other quick questions here. I want you to know that I'm here for you, right? I'm going to teach you the resistance removal part, but I want you guys to know that I'm committed to helping you guys become the best influencer you can be. So Kevin says, I've naturally used my echo my whole life, but did not know this until I learned it from you. That's true. That's probably true. Most good persuaders do these things, a lot of things naturally that the rest of us have to learn. And that's okay because they're learnable. They're skills. They're not just people were born with this silver tongue. They're learnable skills, right? Deborah says, yes. Joseph says, I use it online chatting and people can't stop chatting and always want to connect with me, 100%. Paul's asked, can you resequence their phrases provided you don't change the basic structure? Yes. Yes, you can. It's not as optimized, but it will work. It will work very well. Chris says, awesome. Great scripts. If you hear hi-as in the background, it's because my daughter is in her tongue pseudo class right now. It's all about them. Okay. All right, one more question, then we'll jump into, if someone in your life is toxic, do you recommend trying to change the dynamic using influence techniques, or is it more trouble than is generally worth and better to get away from them and fill your life with healthier people? I'm going to tell you right up front that a lot of the people in our lives shouldn't be there. And we have to make a decision about how much value a person brings to our life. Is the person in our life making our life better? Or fall in life based on the people you surround yourself with. Okay, I've run headfirst into this principle over and over and over again. And yes, with enough relentlessness and enough determination and hard work, you can beat the odds, but you shouldn't have to. Okay. If you're willing to make the changes, you have to, surround yourself with people who are going in the same directions or types of directions that you're going. So the question that was, is it worthwhile to influence these people? There is a degree of influence that you can exert over these kinds of people. The question you have to ask is the level of energy and effort and exhaustion I'm going to go through, the level of skill that I need to work with this person, worth the investment? If the answer is yes, if the answer is that the value that they're bringing, the degree that they're making your life better is there, it's quantifiable, then yes, it's worth the effort to exert the influence and manage that relationship. If the answer is no, which is more often the case, by the way, is unfortunately, then the answer is you're better off using your skills to keep yourself safe and removing that person or yourself from that circle of relationship and being free. Okay. Chris Voss, in his book, Never Split the Difference, said, no deal is better than a bad deal. I'm going to paraphrase that and say this to you. No relationship is better than a bad relationship. Now, emotionally, we don't feel that way because we're afraid there's not going to be another one. We're afraid the next one will be worse. Believe me when I say you're better off not being in a relationship than suffering with a bad one. It will destroy your health. It will destroy your peace of mind. It will gnaw at you day and night. Okay. You will live on eggshells. You will develop all kinds of weird stuff because of the background stress and tension. So pulling the trigger, again, I'm not telling you to stay. I'm not telling you to go. I'm telling you to evaluate the value this person brings to your life, emotionally, physically, financially, if that's a factor for you, and then decide what to do. And remember that they're not mutually exclusive. You could decide, and I don't recommend this, but it's a possibility. You could decide to try and manage the situation using the skills and techniques that you've learned. And if that fails, eject. Or you could just pull the trigger and say, you know what? This is not a relationship that is healthy for me. It's keeping a space for you from being filled. It's probably time for us to go our separate ways, right? I teach a lot of very advanced, very powerful influence techniques and technologies. for managing these kinds of relationships. We can't cover them here in a webinar, obviously. We do cover quite a bit of them in the courses that we discussed and in advanced live trainings and things of that nature. But right now, most of you barely know me. Most of you don't, I'm just some dude in a vest, right? You don't know the technologies. You don't know, that's why we give you some stuff that you can use right away. There's more. We're giving you like the sample platter, but there's whole systems that we've developed for managing all types of human interaction and human influence and communication. And if you want to take that to the level and deepen that relationship with me so I can teach you better, pull the trigger. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/go, and we will do everything we can to give you the skill sets to manage your life. So that being said, are you guys ready to learn some more stuff? Yes or no? Okay, let's go back. So people were asking about the echo technique, and a gentleman mentioned earlier that one of his partners always like echoed the last word that he said, and he fell in love with him. That's actually one of the ways that you camouflage the echo technique. So let's look at that really quick. I want to focus on resistance removal, but I want to go ahead and just show you that the way that there's a whole science behind the echo technique that you don't need to use it out in the field. But if you want to become a master, so to speak, then, so let's talk about masking the echo technique a little bit. So some of the ways that you can mask the echo technique, you can do it in the form of a question. You can do it in the form of a statement. So if I'm using this as an example, let's say I'm echoing myself, right? And I'm saying, what are some ways to mask the echo technique? Now, notice what I did there is I said, what are some ways to mask the echo technique, right? I could say it in the form of a question. I could do what we call a STEM process. Instead of saying, what are some ways to mask the echo technique? I could say, to mask the echo technique. What are some ways to mask the echo technique? I could look at them and say, to mask the echo technique, which is a question, right? So what the conscious mind pays attention to a lot of times is the words. The unconscious mind pays attention to the structure. And because the unconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious mind, you can say the exact same thing and sound different, right? So let's say you have a question like, how can you remove a curse put on you by a witch? I could say, how to remove a curse? Or I could say, how to remove a curse. Right? So again, I can just put I could shorten that even more. This goes back to what the gentleman was saying, right? A curse. How can you remove a curse put on you by a witch? A curse. Or how do you put a curse put on you by a witch? A curse. Or a curse. A curse, right? So the tonality gives you a different sound. And so the neurology doesn't pick up that you've used the exact words, but the same words will send a signal of sameness to the nervous system. So you can mask the echo technique using tempo, through pitch, tonality, volume. You can use segments to match everything. You can do a full echo. You can emphasize different words. You can use just the first phrase or the last statement of the sentence. Again, as you can see, there's a whole lot of ways that you can use this. If you wind up like so many people who use the echo technique out in the field, and you start echoing them, and they just start running off at the mouth, so much so that you can't remember everything they said, all you really need to do is remember the first phrase they said and the last phrase, and it'll work just as well. Okay? Because most people focus on the first thing and the last, and they lose everything in the middle anyway. So there's lots of different ways that you can throw these little echoes out during a normal conversation. And the tonality or the tempo will mask that you're using exact words, but it'll still send that signal of sameness. It'll still trigger the neurology to start to divulge and self-disclose more information. And the more information a person discloses, the more leverage you gain in influencing that person to do what you want them to do in a way that's right for them. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, type that in the chat. Okay, perfect, excellent. Okay, so let's talk about resistance removal. So this formula that I'm about to share with you was derived. It was something I adapted. So John Mash said, even echo back as a participant rather than a question. Yes, absolutely, right? So one of the things that I love about the resistance removal technique is it actually works on everything. And what I mean by that is I've actually used this technique to argue people out of being in back pain. I've used this to cure people's tinnitus, believe it or not. I actually have those on video. You can go to my YouTube channel, type in conversational pain relief, and you'll watch me literally using a variation of the technique that I'm about to share with you to argue somebody out of their back pain. So it goes literally from like a 4 or 5 to a 0 in like 5 minutes, right? And one of the reasons that works is because the nervous system, the divisions of the nervous system that control physical pain also control psycho-emotional pain. So if I can stimulate that area the right way through my words, I can deal with physical or emotional pain. You have to tweak it right. The subject needs to be a little bit more suggestible for this one to work. It wouldn't be one of my go-to techniques for pain relief, but it happened to be one of those moments where I was teaching it and it just kind of came out organically. See here. Jack says, spinning tinnitus in myself, and it's almost completely gone. It disappears when I'm online listening to you. How about that? Because it's something you want to hear, right? Excellent. Like a lot of good questions in the chat. I like good questions. Okay. And again, the better the question, the better the training. My job here is, again, to give you the information to go forward. But I also want you to believe in what I'm telling you, even though you don't need to. I want you to take these skills, go out into the world and just say, David said it works like this. I'm just going to do what David said and see what happens. Have fun with it. Be as playful as humanly possible. The more playful you are, the more power you have. Okay. That's also true with the resistance removal protocol. Now, the resistance removal protocol I have adapted from a book. That book is called Instant Influence by Dr. Michael Pantalone, Pantalone, Dr. Michael Pantalone, who did his initial research. I think he was from Stanford. Okay. So there's a couple of things that need to happen when you're doing resistance removal. The first thing, ironically, is that in order for people, I'm going to put this up on the screen in just a moment. Here we go. Okay. So this is again the source material is Dr. Michael Pantalone's book Instant Influence. The first thing that has to happen when you want somebody to give you a reason for doing the thing they just said they would do. Let me clarify that for you. Write this down this way. The most powerful reason anyone can have for doing the thing they just said they did not want to do is the one they make up. Okay, let me say that again. The most powerful reason anyone can have for wanting to do the thing they just said they didn't want to do is the one they just made up. And that's exactly what this process does. It guides you through a conversational framework that leads a person to make up their own reason for wanting to do the very thing they just said they did not want to do. Okay? Now, the very first thing that has to happen when you want to reverse somebody's decision is you have to restore in their mind their ability to not do it. And here's what I mean. The technical process is dissolve psychological reactance, restore personal autonomy. So human beings have what I call lovingly the fuck you factor, okay? It's called reactance. Reactance and resistance are a little bit different, but the result is the same. People don't do what you want them to do. So think of it this way. If I have a person standing next to me, right? And they're solid and they're just kind of hanging out, and I push them If they feel me starting to push, or they know I'm coming at them to push them, what would you do? Wouldn't you just kind of dig your heels in and kind of get ready to brace yourself and push back? Yes or yes? If that's something you would do, go ahead and type that in the chat. Okay. That instinctive pushback, that wanting to stand your ground psychologically or physically, is not conscious. And therefore, it's not resistance. I believe resistance is actually a little bit more on the conscious side than reactance is. Reactance is the initial pushback that is activated whenever we perceive that somebody is trying to take our freedom away or impose their will on us without our permission. Does that make sense? Reactance is the psychological pushback that people go, or the physical pushback that people engage in anytime they're the target of an attempt at influence that they did not invite, or somebody is trying to take their freedom of choice away. Now, when people come to you, how many of you guys are here for therapeutic, are like therapists or coaches or whatever? I'm curious. Okay, Grant's here. Okay, good. All right, Virginia, good. Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of times when people come to you, especially if you're dealing with things like smokers, alcoholics, procrastinators, things of that nature, they're coming to you because they have to do something that they don't want to do, but other people are pressuring them to do it. And what happens is the moment a person feels like the locus of influence is out, the locus of control is outside of them, they become reactant because they feel like their freedom to choose has been taken away. Okay. Remind me after we go through the protocol to talk about internal motivation versus external motivation. Okay, because it plays a large part in this phenomena, but it's not. If I explain it now, it's just gonna muddy the waters a little bit. But the first thing that has to happen, if you want somebody to choose to do what you want them to do, is you must tell them it's okay for them to say no. That it's absolutely 100% okay for them to not do it. And you will support them in not doing it. Okay, so if I get somebody who, what was the example I used last time? Smoking. All right, let's take worst case scenario. You got somebody who comes to you as a therapist, and they say, I need to help. I need your help. I need you to make me quit smoking. Now, first of all, the moment you hear the word make come out of somebody's mouth, you know right there that they're not in control. They're there for some other reason. They want something done to them, not for them or with them. So the minute you hear that, little flag should go up. But, and I might say something like, so you want me to make you quit smoking? What did I just do there, by the way? Can you make me quit smoking? So you want me to make you quit smoking? That's right. Why did I do that? Because the moment a person gets their very own words back, they feel heard. They feel understood. They feel like they have an ally. And the moment they feel that alliance, they don't want to give it up. And so you begin to leverage right off the bat. So you want me to make you quit smoking? Yeah. I my parents are on me about the smoking. My wife has given me shit about it. My kids say I taste and smell like an ashtray. And I just want to stop. I just want people to stop bugging me about it. So I need you to help me, make me quit smoking. So I don't have to hear crap from my family anymore. Oh, I see. So you're getting crap from your mom and your dad. Your kids say you smell like an ashtray. Your wife's giving you shit about smoking. You want me to make you quit smoking? Yeah, dude, can you help me? Well, I can help you. However, let me ask you a question. First and foremost, I want you to know that you're here and I'm here. Okay? Your wife isn't here. Your kids aren't here. Your parents aren't here. You're here. I'm here. And my job is to help you, to make your life better by your standards and your definition. So I'm going to tell you something right up front. Let's call him Frank. Frank, I want you to understand something. If you don't want to quit smoking, I'm okay with that. If you want, in fact, my job, Frank, is to help you enjoy your life more. So if you don't want to quit smoking, I'll help you not quit smoking. In fact, I'll help you enjoy smoking more. I'll even teach you tricks and techniques to manage your family so you can smoke without the hassle, right? I want to support you. I want to help you be the person you want to be. So if you don't want to quit smoking, I'm on your side. I support that because that's my job, right? I'm not here to help your wife. I'm not here to help your kids. I'm not here to help your parents. I'm here to help you. So I mean, it sounds funny, but if you want to be a better smoker, I'll help you be a better smoker because that's my job, to give you what you want. But I am curious about something. If you, Frank, were to want to quit smoking for your own reasons, Frank, not my reasons, not your wife's reasons, not your parents' reasons, not your kids' reasons, your reasons. If you were to want to quit smoking, why? Why might you want to do that? Well, save me a lot of money for sure. Probably be able to taste better, food better, and breathe better. Yeah, that's probably right. So let me get this straight. You'd save money. You'd be able to breathe better. Food would probably taste better. Sounds about right? Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. So let me ask you something. If you were to be able to save money, breathe better, have your food taste better, on a scale of 0 to 10, Frank, why might you want to do that? Or how much might you want to do that? 0 to 10? Maybe 5? Excellent. 5. So let me ask you this, Frank. Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? What? Why do you want this so bad? Why didn't you rate it less? Well, because I want to breathe better and I want to save money and it just makes sense. I just want to, have food taste better. I like my food, I want to do that. Excellent. And I agree. I think it's important that your food tastes better, you breathe better, and you save some money. So thinking about it like that, what's the next step that we need to take to move you towards having better tasting food, saving that money, and breathing better? Well, I guess we need to do a session. Excellent. How soon do you want to get started? Right now. Cool. Let's go. So, what happened? What did you type in the chat now? What did you observe in that role play? He talked himself into wanting to quit, even though I was literally like being two different people. So what were my responses? What did my nonverbals look like? Was I congruent? YouTubers, don't be bashful. Type it in the chat. I used echo a lot, didn't I? Right? Exactly. So let's break this down. Okay. In fact, if you guys want to, we can do a couple of extra. We can do a couple of these together, so you understand the process. Okay. First and foremost, you must restore. Let me go back to my screen. You must restore a sense of personal autonomy. Acknowledge their right to say no and support that right to say no. Right? I did that very, I went very, very deep into that in a very congruent, very heartfelt way. And in saying that, look, Frank, I'm here for you. I'm not here for your mom. I'm not here for your daughters or your kids. I'm not here for your parents. I'm here for you. And I'm here to help you get what you want. And if you don't want to quit smoking, I'm going to help you not quit smoking. You can come back another time when you're ready. I can help you enjoy smoking more so you get more enjoyment from less cigarettes. I can make you be able to smoke without having actually physically light it. I can do all those things, right? What do you want, right? I'm going to support you no matter what. And if you were to want to do that for your reasons, not your spouse's, not your parents, not your problem. If you were to want to do that for your own reasons, why might you want to do that, right? The moment you ask them why, you activate two levels of the brain simultaneously, the mammalian brain, as well as the neocortex, the newest layer of the brain. The neocortex of the brain is the rational lying brain. It's the part of you that makes up reasons for justifying and doing the things you do. And they have nothing to do with reality. But the reality that gets challenged grows stronger. We'll talk about that. I'm going to open that loop. We'll come back to it. The second part of your brain that we're going to activate is the mammalian part, the limbic system, which is the emotional part, which is where your values are, where your emotional bonding checklist is. Okay. And so the moment a person taps into their own why and you engage them emotionally, that cements in that new reality, that new perspective. So what did I do? I restored their personal autonomy. I asked them what they wanted. Okay. And I asked them to generate their own reason for why they might want to do it if they were to do it. Now remember, this person's already said they don't want to do it. And you say, and you know what? If you don't want to do it, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you not do it. I'm going to support you no matter what. But if you were to want to do this for your reasons, why might you want to do that? Right? What happened when I asked them why they might want to do that? He gave me a reason. I echoed, or I agreed. I echoed. I asked the next question. Okay. You guys with me so far? A lot of relationship questions coming up in the YouTube sections, right? Okay. So the minute they give me a reason, I wanna save some money. I want to have food taste better. I want to breathe better. I'm going to agree. I think it's important to breathe better, to have food taste better, and to save money. So let me ask you a question. On a scale of 0 to 10, here's the magic question. How much might you want to do that? The magic word in this sentence, hold on a second, is might. This is one of those times when a seemingly innocuous word makes all the difference. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? They're going to give you a number, usually 1 to 10. Doesn't matter what number they give you. Like in my example, I think Frank gave us a 5, right? For most people's perspective, that's not a very high number, but they said 10. I said, oh, all right. I said, what number, Frank? He says 5. I said, 5. Excellent. Let me ask you a question. Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Why didn't you rate it less? Okay. Now if you go back and you watch the replay of this video, you'll see me do exactly what most people do when you ask that question. I asked Frank, I said, Frank, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? He said 5. Excellent. So 5, huh? Let me ask you this. Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? And Frank goes, what? Because they are so used to people saying, well, why don't you want it more? And going on the defensive for being berated for why they want it more, that they think they know what you're going to say. And then they hear, why didn't you rate it less? And they go, that's a momentary confusion induction, by the way, right? Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Here's an important principle for this. The behavior or the rationale that gets attacked grows stronger. When you have to justify, anybody ever ask you, like somebody asked you a question and you say no, or they give you an answer and then they go, why? Why do you want to do that? Or why do you not want to do that? How did you feel? Type in the chat. How did you feel? Did you feel like agreeing? Or did you felt attacked? You felt inferior? You challenged my statement? You felt defensive, right? Now think about this for a moment. The person came into your office defensive, expecting you to try to make them do something that they really don't want to do. That's what they asked you for, because in their mind, their autonomy has been taken away. By giving them the choice that it's okay for you not to choose that, you give it back to them. Now you move them through this process where they've generated their very own reason for wanting to do it. The moment you have them rate it and ask them why they didn't rate it more or less, you triggered defensiveness. And so that level 5 jumps to a level 6 or 7. The moment a person has to answer the why question, the resistance they have to change gets stronger. Only this time, it's getting stronger in the direction of the choice you want them to make. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Let's all do this together, shall we? Let's all do this together. I want you to, on a scale of 0 to 10, write some. I'll guide you through it. It's going to be hard for us to do this a little bit, but I want you to have the experience of this, okay? Think of something that you've been putting off or been hesitant to do, okay? And I want you to understand something that, let's say, for example, I want you to buy my program, right? Whatever. And I get it. If you don't want to buy my program, that's fine. I support that. I support that, right? But if you were to want to buy my program for your reasons, not mine, not Holly's, not Stephanie's, not Brandon's, why might you want to do that? For your reasons. Write that down. Write that down on a piece of paper, right? I want you to feel this. Why might you want to do that? We're going to do a generic one first, then we'll circle around and do an individual one. Okay. Now, as you look at that reason, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? Hear my words, repeating your words back to you. How much might you want to do X, Y, Z, your reasons for doing it? Write the number down. Now answer my question out loud. Why'd you rate it so high? Why didn't you rate it less? Why did you rate it so high? Why didn't you rate it less? Answer the question out loud. And then once you've done that, type into your chat what happened to your desire to do it. It increased, Lisa says. See, some of these things you have to increase. Virginia says it increased. Do it more. Yeah, it increased. It became a 10. Boom. Jedi trick. It clarified, right? Now, if I were a mercenary son of a bitch, I would say, Brandon, Holly, Stephanie, put the link in the chat before they change their mind. Right? It increased. Now, you can do this with yourself. You can do this with any of your clients who don't want to do the things that you know are going to get them the result that they want. For those of you who want to do this, you can go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay. So let's do one more. But before we do one more, let's just review what our package is so people can kind of know where they're going. Oh, okay. Okay. Let me just change this really quick. Is this useful so far, by the way, guys? Is this something that you can take into the field and actually put to work? Okay. Oops. All right about that. So here's what you're getting in the whole package tonight. Secrets of Human Influence, Ultra Persuasion Protocol. 17 videos, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol valued at $2,497. The Killer Influence Master Test valued at $418. You get the 3-month NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, totally priceless, right? Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, $1,950 value. Iteration and Conversational Belief Change, $1,950 value. You're going to get the Charisma on Command Hypnotic Persuasion Skills for Speakers and Presenters, $1,950 value. You're going to get the Fast Action Bonuses, so the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, valued at $997. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program Practice Group, $594 value, and that unlimited 10-year archive. And you're going to get that free VIP ticket to any single live event in our 2020-2021 calendar. Total value is $11,888. You can get it all today for $997. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. It's www.killerinfluence.com/go. If you have any questions, reach out to Stephanie at 858-282-4663. Once again, that's 858-282-4663, or you can reach out to Stephanie at nlppower.com. Okay. All right. You guys want to do another one? Yes or yes? Some good stuff going on in the chat, but it's going by so fast and it's kind of glitchy because I think we've got a lot of people on. All right. So now let's do another one. And again, once again, I need you to pretend that you're working with me personally. And I want you to speak things out loud. I'm going to ask you to write them down just so you have them, but I want you to speak them out loud because I want you to see how generic this is, right? So scale of 0 to 10, name something that needs to be done, but you don't want to do. Write that down. And so insert that as we go through this conversation together. And the first thing I want you to understand that is regardless of why people want you to do this thing you don't want to do, regardless of all the logical reasons and the ethical reasons and the social reasons, yada, yada, yada. My job here, hold on a second, let me change my screen. My job here is to help you. And the important thing to remember is I want you to have the life that you want the way that you want it. And so the first thing I want you to understand is that if you don't want to do the thing you just wrote down, the thing you're playing with me right now with, if you don't want to do it, I'm going to help you not do it. We can either cut it here and terminate the interview, or I can help you not do the thing you don't want to do better. Find other ways to get the same result without having to do that thing you don't want to do, right? I'm going to help you in any way I can, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's here on this webinar. You're the one that is engaged in the process of learning how to become a better persuader, right? So you're here for your reasons, not your mom's reasons, not your wife's reasons, not your husband's reasons, not your brother's reasons, not your kids' reasons, your reasons, right? And so I'm going to help you for your reasons. So as you look at that thing that you wrote down that you don't want to do, I'm curious about something. If, for some mysterious reason, you did want to do it, for your reasons, nobody else's, why might you want to do that? Go ahead and write that down. And then speak it out loud. Just write it down, speak it out loud a couple of times. And then I'm going to ask you another question. Imagine that I've just heard what you said, I've echoed it back to you, and I've asked you this. I'm curious. On a scale of 0 to 10, if you were to want to do that for your reasons, scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? Write the number down. Say it out loud. Type done in the chat when you've done that. Okay, excellent. So here's my question. Why did you rate this so high? Why didn't you rate it less? Why didn't you rate it less? Speak the reason out loud. Why didn't you rate it less? Write it down, then type it in the chat. Excellent, BF. Because I really want it. Excellent. So what's the next step that we need to take to get that? First impression. What's the next step? Write that down, type it in the chat. And then tell me what you discovered in yourself as you did this process. Type in the chat what you discovered. How soon you want to get started on it. Type in how soon you want to get started. Now. Perfect. Tomorrow? Perfect. And that's the close, by the way. There's 2 closes that you use with this. What's the next step we need to take? How soon do you want to get started? Parker says now, yesterday. Letitia says tomorrow, right? Where'd the resistance go? Now I could make, now in Killer Influence and in the 17 video course that you learn, I'll show you how to take this even further and connect this to criterion values. Yeah, definitely feel more like I want to get it on. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? They might even deny they had a problem. Yes, very cool, right? And like I said, I've used this for pain. I've used this for emotions. I've used this to help people get over a breakup. Okay. This is probably one of the solid platinum radioactive nuggets I've discovered, right? And again, it takes a little bit of practice, but if you go back and look at the structure, once again, it all starts with restoring a sense of personal autonomy. Communicate to them that it's okay to not do what they, people are trying to make them do. And then you ask them, if you were to want to do X, why might you want to do that? You validate, echo, and ask again. Scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? The moment they give you a number, you echo, validate, ask again, and then you ask, why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? They're going to do a double take. They're going to give you a justification for why they want to do it. And then you ask them, what's the next step to move forward? How soon do you want to get started? And that's the autonomizer. That's the resistance remove. Hold on a second. There's all kinds of questions floating by in the chat. Hold on a second. James says, I cannot do this because my sense of self is not my identity. Okay, I don't understand that question or that statement, but if you use this on someone who is super compliant, could the question is, why didn't you rate it less, have the opposite effect? I've never seen that happen. The only time that might happen is if the person's actually trying to please you. And if you've done the autonomy restoration process adequately, they should feel safe enough to give you their true feelings. Good question, though. Yeah, when you start getting, you got to be very careful, because the most important piece of the resistance removal protocol is returning of restoration of the autonomy. You see, if a person does not truly feel that you are on their side, they will tell you what you think they want to, they will tell you what they think you want to hear, rather than the truth. And so the whole rapport building, echoing process is absolutely critical in giving people the ability to feel like they can express themselves without judgment. Because if they feel in any way that you're going to judge their answer, especially if they have a weaker sense of self, they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear, right? And that's where you've got to pay very close attention, right? Because if you think that's what they're doing, you haven't done the preliminaries. You haven't deepened the rapport enough. You haven't made them feel safe enough. You haven't made them feel supported enough. Okay? Does that make sense? You must soften, yeah. And again, we'll teach all about softeners in the course and things like that. Right now, softeners don't help you if you don't have the skeleton, right? If you don't have the bones, the muscles and the flesh and the guts and the blood ain't going to help you, okay? But this is a very, very, very powerful process. And I've used it on everything from getting over a breakup to back pain, tinnitus, a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff going on in the chat. So Us Here says, I really want to organize my house, but I can't get myself to prioritize doing that over going out to play. Okay. Use this process. You can also combine this particular formula with a process called the Echo Magnet or the Procrastination Blaster. Jen Larson says, can it help with CPTSD from long-term abuse? Yes. Yes, it can. Will it be the only technique that you use? Probably not. But it's a great way to, oh shoot. I think I just closed my YouTube channel. Oops. I think I just lost my YouTubers. Sorry about that, guys. Let me see if I can get them back. Hold on a second. Oh no, apparently the live stream is still going. So I accidentally closed the window to my YouTube channel. So hopefully they're still with me. I'll have to log back in and fix that. But anyway, questions about the resistance removal program? All right, real quick, we're coming in towards the tail end of the webinar here. So, oh, YouTube is working. Okay, thank you. So just a quick reminder, here's what we've got for you. For those of you who want to take your again, we've given you some nuclear powered stuff already. If you did nothing but the echo technique, the emotional bonding checklist, and the resistance removal protocol, you'd have some powerful, powerful tools to get people to say yes. And even if they say no, how to maneuver them to where they want to say yes and move them in the direction that they've decided you want to go. Sometimes if you want somebody to go south, you can't get them to go directly north. You got to kind of veer them off angle by angle by angle. The nice thing about the resistance removal, it gets them focused on the reasons why they want to doing something, why they're doing something. Okay. So once again, for those of you who want to take advantage of this, who want to work with me personally and use that VIP ticket, we've got the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study Program. It's a 17 video course that teaches you the entire 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. It drills deep into every level so that you can do these things in your sleep. It's got $2,497 value. You're going to get the Killer Influence Master Text, which has tons and tons of information, including, but not limited to, the Universal Persuasion Protocol. It's a $418 value. We're going to give you that bonus Weapons of Mass Instruction, the Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets Home Study course with the modules on stories for connection, stories for persuasion and motivation, stories for removing resistance, ninja stories, transportability training, and beyond. Okay, it's a $1,950 value. We're also going to include the Renegade Reframing, Objection Obliteration, and Speed Conversational Belief Change Home Study course and card game and manual. It's a $1,950 value. If you could buy it on the website, which as far as I know, you still can't. It's only available through our webinar program. For those of you who register before I log off the webinar tonight, you're also going to get the following fast action bonuses: Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, valued at $997. You're also going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program Group Trial and Practice Group 3-month membership, plus the full video archive access for 3 months, where you get to roll up your sleeves, hang out with cool people who like to do cool stuff, and really hone down and get your skills where you can do them anytime, anywhere. It's a lot of fun. It's probably of all the things I've done, it's probably one of the single most powerful reasons I can do all the things I do. Because on the third Saturday of every month, I literally in front of a different group of people, all asking me how to do things, and I have to find a way to link them all together into a cohesive study plan. So it's forced me over and over and over again to come up with new ways to integrate these things. And it's given me insights that I couldn't have gotten any other way. It can do exactly the same thing for you. But most importantly, it'll give you the ability to hang out with like-minded people and do the actual skills that you need to move your life forward. If you truly are committed to taking your life to the next level, you can't afford to be without this. Okay. And of course, to cement in that learning and make sure you get on the fast track to becoming the most powerful influencer imaginable, we're going to give you that free VIP ticket to any single live event in our 2020-2021 calendar. It's valued at $1,950. Remember that there are a few restrictions. The VIP ticket is any course that's less than 5 days, anything that doesn't have a prereq, and anything that is a joint venture. Those don't qualify, but anything that is put on specifically and purely by me, you're more than able to use that as long as you meet the criteria for it. So it's a $1,950 value. It can be as much as $2,250 because that's what a lot of our at the door prices are now for our live events. Total value for this entire package, if you could buy it on the website, which you can't, is $11,888. You can get it all today for one low investment of just $997. Or if you want to, you can break that up into 3 easy payments of just $397 each. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. And Stephanie and Brandon and Holly can help you with your questions. We can set up payment plans for you and help you get from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time possible. Okay. That being said, it's 7 o'clock. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. I'll take any questions that you have and hopefully answer those. I'm going to have to ask anybody who's coming in from YouTube, would you please pass it on to Holly or Stephanie. Paul says 3 a.m. in the UK. Paul, thank you so much for hanging out. I miss you and your lovely wife. I hope to see you guys very, very soon. Get some sleep, my friend. Carl's asking, would like to know more about narcissism if it's possible on today's seminars. What would you like to know, Carl, about narcissism? John Masters says, thanks, David. You're very welcome, John. Good to see you again. Who's got questions? Now's the time. When would now be a good time to ask your questions? Or if you're busy talking to Stephanie, that's okay too. Frederico says, you are a gift to the world. That is so kind. Thank you so much. If remote viewing the future alters it, does remote viewing the past also alter the past? It might. I think time flows both ways. I really do. The problem, of course, is the problem is that your nervous system is always running simulations. And so if the past changed, you might not actually realize it. Mark Jones says, thank you. Please, next time earlier is 3:00. A lot of UK folks this time around. Grant says, great session as always, David. Thank you so much. Grant, good to see you again. Man, I want to do a special shout out to all the people checking in from the UK. That's a lot of desire and a lot of passion to show up at 3 a.m. On a webinar that is not short. All my Brits, all my Euro friends, thank you so much for your support. We love you. We will, I promise you, we will get back to visiting you in the UK. Innings and things of that nature and kind of moving forward. I've been missing you guys a lot, but we do plan on coming out. So once again, special shout out to all you foreigners, as we say here, Australia too. Yes, absolutely. Our Aussie contingent is so friendly, so loyal. Grant says the pleasure is mine. Stephanie says Australia. India too. Excellent. Jax, I didn't see your question. Ask it. Type it again, please. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to expand the chat box because things are going by so quick. Okay. I've been telling people about you, but I get resistance in the way of they believe it's all about covert hypnosis being unethical and cheating. How can I get around this? What are you telling people? I need to know exactly how you're telling this to people, Jax, so that you had to spin it. Stephanie says we're coming to Australia in May 2022. Robin says, yeah, yay, thank you, Stephanie. All right. Questions, questions, questions. Come on, this is your time. Max is asking you once again. I think I figured out why the Zoom is so laggy. I think we've got more than 2 or 3 people logged in under my account. I think that has something to do with it. Valerie Asher says, you're awesome, David. Thanks so much. Thank you, Valerie. I'm glad you joined us. That it is not about covert hypnosis, it's about learning about you can help. Okay, so are they seeing the words covert hypnosis when they come to my websites? If that's the case, send them to davidsnydernlp.com. That's the new website. And it's a little bit more, it's a little less edgy than my original site. I like edgy myself, but sometimes it spins people in a different direction. Seth is saying at YouTube, hereafter I divorced a narcissist, I figured out to only respond to the positive things said or done and to ignore the rest. That worked pretty well. Yes, the behavior that gets repeated gets rewarded. I have found most have seen your videos. Okay. Some people are just not ready, Jax. And if they're not ready, then hit them with the resistance removal protocol and see where that takes you. But at the end of the day, you're probably best off not even talking about hypnosis, but just doing a criterion values listation, hit them with a resistance removal, and then point them at the video that satisfies that, and then have them think about it. Again, it's not about hypnosis. It's about getting what you want, right? In an ethical, honest way. So Rebecca is asking, how does hypnosis work on bad habits? Very well. Again, your habits are imprints locked in at the subconscious mind. So as soon as we begin interacting with the subconscious mind, we can begin to dissolve and neutralize the reasons behind the habit. And then as the reasons behind the habit go away, the unconscious mind is much more willing to let that habit go in place of a new habit. And so you should always, once you dissolve a habit, you should always replace it with something else that's positive and moving in the direction that is in line with who you want to be. Kathleen Gilligan is asking, the behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated, writing it to remember it. Yes, remember it. You'll never go wrong. It's an axiom for living. Federico is asking, would this work with an ex who was willing to work things out, but after talking to the lawyer wants everything and is not willing to talk or change? Possibly. It would really depend on how that particular lawyer spun it. But yeah, you could theoretically change your mind using this technique, or this technique in combination with others. Stuart is asking, David, resistance removal technique, just suppose they don't want to get involved in the process and get angry. Why might you want to do that? Well, first of all, if they're getting angry, you haven't gotten rapport. You haven't you haven't restored their sense of personal autonomy. You need to do more work on the front end. That's why people will get defensive on you. Anger is just a form of defensiveness. You haven't given back their sense of safety and validation. You have to give them back their autonomy if you want to move forward in this process. If they don't feel like you're really in their corner, they're going to fight you. And they're going to be very sensitive to anything that smacks of being manipulative. So you've got to come across as very authentic and genuinely want to help that person and support them either way. It's not always easy because we think we know what's best for people. Anna F says, one question, can I get, was that 2 free tickets? Hold on. Can I get 2 free tickets instead of 1 as a third world? No, I'm sorry. We can't do that, Anna. I'm sorry. But if you talk to Stephanie, she might be able to get you, if you buy two packages, she might be able to help you out on the second package. It's an unusual request. But talk to Stephanie. She is the final arbiter of all things monetary. Let's see here. Andrew Duran else wanted to test it on a woman standing next to me. What should I say to get her number and attract? Okay. John Masters, replacing and future pacing is an added bonus for reinforcing change. Absolutely. If you're coming to Australia, can I use the ticket that is included in this course to attend without? Yes. If I'm coming to Australia and you have a VIP ticket, you can use it to attend that training. 100%. Paul May says rapport is essential and your state control is key. Absolutely. Jack says, thanks for a great webinar. Margaret Walsh says, awesome. Parker AC says, forget autonomy. I forget. People do. You see, this is important. Let me go back to face with this. In a public training like this, I don't normally lean on the autonomy process as heavily because I usually reserve that level for my private students. The most important part of this process is restoring personal autonomy. If you can't get them into the state where they feel it's okay to not want to do something and then they're not going to be judged for it, you're dead in the water. Okay? It has to be all about them. You have to give that to them. This is why state control and rapport training is so critical to all persuasion and influence. Whether you're using this conversational framework, the 3 magic questions, criteria and values, none of it matters if you can't control your state and you can't get rapport with the subject to a deep enough level that they're willing to interact with you. So there's, again, that 7-stage universal persuasion protocol process is the Bible, the holy book. It literally is a formula. First, you know what you want. Then you control your state. Then you get rapport. Then you use whatever language skills you have. If you only have the echo technique and the resistance removal formula, that's what you use. If you only have the echo technique, that's what you use. If you only have criteria and values, that's what you use, right? Whatever tools you have at that level, that's what you use. You use those 3 tools to manage the state of the subject, which is what we're doing with this process. We're managing their state. We've gotten them to the point where they're feeling okay to not want to do something. And then we ask them, if they were to want to do it, why? Right? We've brought them around to where they're willing to even just entertain the possibility. That's state management, guys. That's the whole key. State management. If you can't get control of your own state, if you can't get rapport with the subject, if you can't use your language effectively, you can't manage the state of the person. Fastest way to change somebody else's state is to change yours first. And that's why the process is that way. Know your outcome, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage the state of the subject, jump into their process, link and emotionally bond to their values. Boom. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. They're going to do what you want, right? If you get any resistance, hit them with the resistance removal protocol, link it to the criteria and values, future pace and cleanup. Boom. They're going to do it. They're going to want to do it. Okay. This is how it works. Okay. Lots of interesting things going on in the chat. I wish people understood values and echo techniques are almost stealth and completely overt. It is their process. It's true. There's so much power. And you don't have to lie or cheat. You don't have to be manipulative. You just have to honestly want to connect with someone and show them how to get what they want by doing what you want, right? The fact that all of this is a hypnotic process that is organic to human beings, that's irrelevant, right? You can call it hypnosis, you can call it NLP, you can call it human influence technologies, you can call it behavioral. It doesn't matter what you call it. This is how people work. People can't make decisions without going into an altered state. They can't think, they can't imagine, they can't remember without altering their state. Hypnosis is anything that takes you from the state you're into something else functionally. So just manage the states. Manage the states. Okay. All right. How to use these techniques in groups of salespeople who seem to be jaded about the use of any influence techniques. Start with controlling your state, getting rapport, using your language to find out what they want, manage their state, jump into their process, bond to their criteria and values, bond to their emotional checklist. That's how you do it. Okay. I'll tell you, I'll give you one last story before we go about the echo. How many of you have heard my Israel story? Yes? Okay. So about 2012, I was invited to Israel to do some trainings for a security company. And I was invited to, I was there to train the R&D people. I was invited to train the customer service and marketing departments, as well as the VIP council, you know, all the CEOs, CFOs, things of that nature. And so I'm sitting in the training, and I'm talking about the echo technique and how it's the most powerful, most ethical and honest way to influence a human being on the planet. And there's this one guy sitting like right there. I remember it to this day. I'm right here. He's right there, right? And you know that look people get when they smell something bad, right? I'm talking about the echo technique. And I could see this guy, it's like he's smelling it. It's like if somebody just farted in his nose or something. He's getting you know, more and more compressed. And at some point he just reaches this blowing point. He goes, he just can't take it anymore. He looks at me and he goes, "I don't believe it." And I go, "You don't believe it?" He goes, "No, I don't believe it." "No, you don't believe it? What specifically don't you believe?" He goes, "I don't believe this will work." And for the next 5 minutes, all I did was feed his very own words back to him. And he was going off. He was ranting and raving and doing all these things. And he had no clue what I was doing. All his friends did, though, because I'd just been talking about it for the last 20 minutes. And they're all looking at him like he's nuts. Like, right? And I just kept echoing him. I just kept talking and talking and talking. And I knew I had to handle this delicately. So I looked at him and I said, after about 5 or 6 minutes of letting him hoist himself on his own petard, right? I looked at him and I said, sir, have you realized yet that all I've been doing for the last 5 to 7 minutes is just giving you back your very own words? I was very humble about this. You had to be very careful how you did this because it could have gone either way. And he looked at me like I was nuts. And he looked to his friend to his left, and his friend went, and he looked at the guy to his right, the guy went, and he looked at me. Now, have you guys ever seen the old Yosemite Sam or Bugs Bunny cartoons where like Yosemite Sam drinks too much hot sauce or he gets so angry that the red rises like a thermometer and then all of a sudden, steam just starts pouring out of his ears? That was this guy. He turns beet red and he's struggling. And then all of a sudden he gets this defeated look on his face. And he looks at me and he says, are we all so stupid? And I looked at him. I said, sir, you are not stupid. You're selfish. Every nervous system on the planet is selfish. It's moving through the world looking for itself. And when it finds itself, it grabs a hold and doesn't want to let it go. Anything the human nervous system generates, the human nervous system accepts. So when you ask somebody, or when somebody says something, and you say a thing they've generated, they grab a hold of it. When you ask somebody what's important about having X, Y, and Z, and they tell you, and you feed it back to them, and you acknowledge it, they take and you link it to what you want, to what they want, the nervous system grabs a hold of it and doesn't want to give it up, doesn't want to let it go. When you give somebody back their sense of personal freedom and autonomy, their right to choose, and then you ask them if they were going to choose to do X, Y, Z, why might they want to do X, Y, Z? The moment they've generated their own reason, they will accept that reason and no other. If you try to give them a different reason, they'll fight you. But once you give them their own reason and you help them to strengthen it, they grab on and they won't let go. Same pattern, different level of experience. Okay? If you want to take this learning further, if you want to unlock the curtain, pull back the curtain behind how people think and feel and behave and work, if you want to move through the world getting everything you want by helping enough other people get what they want, before it's too late, click the link and reserve your package and come work with us. Be part of the group. Learn these things so that you can help yourself, help others, and change the world one person at a time, starting with you, making your world everything you want it to be by controlling your state, by learning how to control the rapport continuum, by using the most powerful hypnotic language patterns in the world, by linking those things to the people you interact with so that they come away feeling so good and so positive for having met you, they can't imagine not wanting to be with you again. These are just some powerful but small pieces of the full core, the full platter we have for you. All you got to do is click that link. Break it up into payments if you have to. And one more thing about, let's say you've bought one of our packages in the past, right? You have some of these courses already. We will substitute any course for something of equal or lesser value. So let's say you already have Charisma on Command or Renegade Reframing. Find something of equal or lesser value. We'll let you customize the package a little bit so that you can have a very unique package that's right for you. Okay? that's what we got. One final time before I take off is this Secrets of Human Influence home study course. 17 videos. This is the full 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, valued at $2,497. Killer Influence Master Text, valued at $418. The Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, $1,950 value. Renegade Reframing and the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,950 value. All these are free. Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, Charisma on Command, $1,950 value, $997 value, all free. Fast Action Bonus, NLP Power Mastermind Practice Group, 3-month trial period, and the 10-year video archive with unlimited access, $594 value, absolutely free. And finally, the VIP ticket, which is the single most important piece, I think, in this whole package, the one that gets you from interesting information to lasting and unstoppable master of persuasion. $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total value for the package today only is $11,888. You can get it all for only just one low installment of $997. Think about that, $997. And the world could be at your fingertips. And if you need to, you can break it up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Stephanie and the team are standing by to answer any other questions that you may have. And that being said, in the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night. God bless. We'll see you soon.